Oh, almost done with this wretched job.
You're not going in your, I just have to go pee.
No,
Okay.
nope, I'm staying here for now.
You're good, Allison. No bowling.
Yeah, in the Redneck Riviera.
Doesn't say 6, but our iPads probably say 6. Mine says 6:01.
6:01? Yep.
All right, so we will begin the Indianola Council Study Session for November 20th, starting with our Indianola Public Library Annual Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, for being here tonight.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all. Michelle Patrick, Director of the Public Library. Pleasure to be here to give you the fiscal year 23 report for the library. At any point you would like to add any comments, please just go ahead, and you don't have to wait for the end or anything. So let's start with the good news. So fiscal year 23 was the best year in the library's 139-year history, really by any measure, whether we're talking checkouts, program attendance, store count, the busiest in the library's history. So last year, 172,203 checkouts, which is record circulation. That is up 11% over last year and up 41% over just 5 years ago. And if you want to look at it a different way, it is as if every person in Indianola checked out 11 books last year.
Wow.
We also have the largest collection in our history, 191,420 total collection. 77% of that is our digital collection, and the physical holdings of the library are 40,000, which I think seems like a lot. 40,000 seems like a lot of items, but to put it as a reference point, if you want to compare us to Newton, which is the closest library of our service, has the same service population, they have 65,000 to our 40,000. So basically taking our adult collection and doubling it. And the reason why that is important is that even though our physical collection makes up less than 25% of our actual holdings, it is the majority of what people check out. So books are what people want. Library cards, we have over 8,000 library cards. Those are active cards. People have used them within the last few years. The biggest age group are those in their 30s. That group, they have the most cards, they check out the most items, and they also attend the most library programs. As we could see from here, 86% of our attendance at our programs are for children's and adult programs. That is up 33% over last year. And I do want to point out that the adult section right there has seen a big jump. So adult programming has doubled over last year. So it's still a small piece of the pie, but getting bigger all the time. Record program attendance last year, 15,657, which is, again, up 33% and double what it was in 2016, which is when I became the director of the library. I will, one little piece here, though, I do see moving into the future, we're not going to see this number go up all that much. And that is because of a couple different reasons. One, programming takes a lot of space to do, and we just do not have that. We have one program room, and so we can only offer one program at a time. So there's a scheduling issue. There's also a capacity issue. You can only have so many people in a room. And in fact, we do have some problems with that room spilling over, particularly on Monday and Wednesdays. Too many kids, they spill over into the rest of the library and really make it unusable for anyone else to use. I don't know if you've ever been in the library on a Wednesday when the teens are there, but we do have people walk in, just turn around, walk back out. So there's always that balance of programs. They take over the library. They really make it so other people can't use the library. But on the other hand, they're very, very popular. People love library programs. Certainly we would do more and people would come to them if we could do more. The building count, 80,001. I love this number. It's a true number from a real door count. I wish I'd been paying attention and on like New Year's Eve watch to see who that one person was. 80,001 people last year. That's a 17% increase over the year before. And as you know, libraries open 7 days a week. So that is as if 200 people came in the library every day. So that many people in the library, it does take its toll on the building. So this would be fiscal year 23. These were the capital improvement projects, 91,000. The new boiler, and there's a picture of our beautiful new boiler, $67,000 for the boiler, $8,000 in replacement lights, and then we had to replace our print kiosk, which also died. Then repairs or for maintenance for the building. So this is another record we broke. It's an unfortunate record. Record number of repairs last year for the building, $27,000 in building repairs. We have never had repairs hit the top of the list, but this year we did. Let's hope that we don't break that one again. And then moving down, the normal ones, janitorial services. Utilities, our utilities actually went down over the year before, and I don't know if that is due to the boiler, the energy efficient lighting, or what, but we paid less in utilities last year than the year before. Insurance, of course, routine maintenance, that's spraying for bugs, things like that, and then HVAC maintenance. If we want to take another look at those repairs a little bit closer, we had a very big plumbing repair. This was not planned, over $9,000. It's relating to the plumbing with the bathroom. So we won't go into details, but we had to do it, and very, very expensive. HVAC repairs, $9,171 in HVAC repairs. That is on top of the $3,900 we spent on maintenance and on top of the $67,000 we spent on a new boiler. So those repairs were just for the chiller. We spent over $8,000 repairing the skylight and the roof, and then the door repairs for $260. We will come back to that. Looking into what we have in the future. So right now in the current fiscal year, you'll hear about this next year, but we are doing 9 smaller projects for a total of $160,000. That is repairing the exterior of the library with some tuck pointing, replacing some carpeting, sort of those kind of things. But we do have these big ticket items coming up for the building. The parking lot needs a new asphalt overlay, and that is quite expensive. The chiller, we do need to replace that chiller. It is estimated at $134,000. We need to replace the roof. It is estimated at $161,000. We also know the skylight needs a complete replacement. So we've had two separate contractors say that the skylight needs to be completely renewed or removed and reconstructed. So we talked to one contractor, didn't like what he said, talked to another one, got the same answer. And then we had a structural engineer tell us the same thing. So we could keep asking people, but I think it's fair that we're going to have to take the skylight off and redo it completely. And then the north side, if it is our plan to use the library moving into the future, then we do need to address the structural issues on the north side of the building. For those of you who are familiar with our building, it's sort of almost two buildings. So there is the south side, and the south side of the library has a basement. The north side does not have a basement, and it is the north side that is causing the problems. It is starting to settle and sink into the ground a little bit. So this fall, we had a structural engineer take a look at that, and he was able to pinpoint the problem is the north wall by the east entrance. And this fall, what we're going to do is actually do a more invasive inspection. We're going to dig down, see what's really going on, and then once we have more information, we can know how to fix it. So some of the possible scenarios the engineer has mentioned, we may just be able to shore it up. We may be able to repair that wall. We may have to pour new footings on that part of the building. So looking into those top three, parking lot, chiller, roof, those altogether are just around 400,000, maybe a little bit more. A lot of that's going to depend on the parking lot price. I don't know how much the skylight or the north side or fixing that north part of the building is going to cost. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're going to meet the $5,000 threshold that you need for a CIP. So you will be seeing those on the CIP. And I bring this to you today just so that you are aware of what is happening, so you know what's coming down the road for us into the future. I am happy to answer any questions you might have.
Can you go back one slide for the work you guys did this year? I'm sorry.
This was the repairs, yep.
So you've got the skylight on there and the roof, so these are additional.
Those were repairs to those.
And so these are gonna be additional repairs then, when you look at, for the upcoming projects, you have the skylight and roof on there also?
Yes,
Or are these the cost?
these are just
for-
repairs.
Okay,
This is replacements.
thank you.
I can guarantee that the skylight will be more than 8,000. So we have an old estimate, which we've been told is very, very low. So it's going to be quite pricey to do that.
It all doesn't make any sense. I'm not exactly sure what's all wrong with your skylight. Obviously, it's got some issues. Does it make any sense to not have that skylight, or is that a critical part of your daylighting and everything else you've got? In other words, kind of fill it in, remove it, whatever the case would be.
You know, that's an option. So one of the last inspection we had was with the structural engineer, and he was pretty clear it cannot be replaced in a like-for-like manner, that the way that this particular skylight is constructed, it would not pass today's code, which is a little more stringent than at the time that it was built, and that there are other options that are similar but easier to maintain, and not technically a skylight, but would still have the same idea. Obviously, everything's on the table.
Right.
I will say this is, the library has very little natural light. Very, very little natural light. If you've ever driven around it, you can see it's maybe got a couple of windows. So that would be the other part of that. Mhm. But certainly we get to that point, which frankly will be pretty soon. We'll look at all the options.
Well, there's obviously issues with codes and how they're set up today, so that your skylight really isn't compatible. And, that's just kind of why I was wondering if it makes some sense to just figure out a way not to even have one, but you could have hatches and things like that, but again, those have to be things that do go along with those two.
So what's the deal with the door?
Oh, I'm sorry, the door is related to that wall that wall being out of plumb, so it's no longer being plumb, not out of plumb, it's no longer plumb. So what is happening is that east entrance there, the shifting of the building and the sliding is making, the door gets caught, open and shutting, so we have to keep fixing the hinges break, just snap off. It also is what the problem is in the meeting room. So we do have floor to ceiling cracks in the meeting room, which we have painted over now. You can't see them, but they're still there. So that's what's causing the problem with that.
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment that, having been here since before you were here and after, I want to commend you and your staff for what you do, because if you look at our monthly statements or treasurer's report, you're never in the, time to time just has to do with money changing hands at different times, but you're not in the red, you're always in the black, and I appreciate that, because in the past, it was always negatives, and you've done all of this while staying within budget, and I commend you. You guys have done a phenomenal job. I couldn't be any prouder of what our library does, and I hear that more and more from people, so I just thank you. Thank you very much for our community.
I appreciate that.
I've got a couple of friends that have gray hair like I do, and they certainly do appreciate all the stuff you guys do as well in the library, so.
And they do comment about the spilling out, and they do walk out the door.
They do, they do. It's always
They
it's a
share it in
hard
the
balance.
community groups too, so we all see it.
Yeah.
It's a hard, and I will say, I get the complaints I get, obviously, people, we just finished our survey, people are very happy with the library, but they are very unhappy with the amount of books we have, and they are also, with some of our older folks, are not very happy because they don't really feel like it's a good place for them to be with so many kids running around everywhere, and it's a hard balance. How do you make room for everyone?
Yep.
It is.
And I will say, we did have some comments in our survey from people saying these, it's really hard to read the paper here, it's really hard to be here, but I love seeing all the kids here.
I'm an old person that likes kids there.
Oh, good. We have plenty of them.
Is the chiller located in the basement or is it on the
Yes.
roof? It's in the basement as well.
So what were the repairs? And I'm sorry. you
I'm
made-
sorry.
What were the $8,000 repairs? I know that skylight was leaking previously. Was there something else with the roof that was immediate that couldn't have waited till we did
Oh,
the
yes.
overall roof?
Oh, yes.
Sure there was.
The skylight, so the problem with skylight was it was leaking, and so what we ended up doing is having it reglazed in a tip. So the issue with the skylight, we'll take them one at a time, is that the leaks go in a straight line and they are right in front of where you would go for the desk. So with it's not a simple put a bucket in the corner, you would have to walk through like a curtain of water to get to the desk.
Nice indoor water feature.
I know, it'd be great, right?
Sprinkle a little mold in there.
The roof repairs were pretty big. They, and one of them was right over staff desks. So we have and they're not small leaks. They're not just put a bucket out. They are leaks. And it is that roof is just, it's getting old.
I think I do remember actually, you guys put a post up. You had some buckets. There had
We
been
do.
a significant like flood in there. I
Yes.
think I remember that, so
Yes.
thank you.
We're just lucky we haven't had rain since like January, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Any other questions? All right, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
Would you email this also to us?
Absolutely.
This
Sure.
presentation? Thank you.
Yep.
And do please pass along to your staff our appreciation for everything that they do there, so.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's kind of I kind of leaving on a sour note with the building, but it was a phenomenal year with the library and the staff. Library staff does just a fantastic job.
I mean, we are gonna have to talk about trunk or treat because I'm pretty sure the cops.
I
were-
know,
I
you
mean, I just
know.
want you to know Keller goes above and beyond, and I kind of felt like we had some better ones this
I
year.
think it was Kilo who kind of put it over the edge when.
It's always the dog.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right, discussion regarding council orientation.
Okay, we have a little bit more time than I anticipated tonight, so that's good. We have some opportunity to go over a few items. So we're in that transitional period between one council and the next, and there's a great opportunity for us to continue our planning and have continuity between one council to the next. If the council recalls, we had the consultants come in and assist us in that mid-year timeframe last year. And that was actually a two-part series for which we only had them come to the first part. The second part we kind of held off on because we had some things that were going on, some transition. And so we have the opportunity to reset our goals and utilize that second visit with Cassandra Halls. And so that's one of the things that we wanted to go over, but also just a little bit of a discussion on roles and responsibilities and working more cohesively as a council with the staff, so that we can receive direction from the council and making sure that we're all responsive to the residents that we serve. That's the intent of it all. And so I kind of wanted this to be a little bit more of an open discussion. And also, if there's time available, I have a couple of videos that I can show that are kind of beneficial as well. I was actually hoping Melissa would be here, but I'm sure she'll catch it on YouTube.
They went out of town, I think. She's out
Yeah,
of
they
town, like
did.
Nashville or something.
It's a tough week, you know, a lot of people are traveling. So with that, one of the things that we did this year is hold Indianola University, and the first week was put on by Jackie and myself, and it really went into a lot of the roles and responsibility of the council and the interaction. And I thought I would take the opportunity to kind of walk the council through that first week. If it works. During that discussion, we went over what was Indianola University, and really it's the opportunity for residents to come in, to learn about the overall organization, how local government works. And there was enough desire that we may have this off-election cycle just for residents who are interested in learning more about how to interact with their local government officials. What is it like to be an elected leader? We talked a little bit about form of government and powers and duties, an overview of Indianola as a whole. Jackie talked about elections and timing of putting in and how that works. We talked a little bit about roles and responsibilities, our mission, goals, and prioritization, and the org chart of how we're established right now. Kind of skip that. We reviewed with those residents that participated our structure, and basically we have a 6-member council with the mayor, and through the delegation of authority outlined in the city ordinance, you have an appointed city manager who manages the day-to-day operations, where the mayor and council set the policy and establish the budgets and really are steering and guiding the ship, and we're the ones that are putting your direction into implementation on a day-to-day basis for the benefit of the residents. And so, so since we have significant time, a lot of my videos are reused from Utah. So take that and set that on the shelf a little bit, because it's really is transferable.
My name is Julie Jones, and I have run actually for City Council of Grand City.
It's a big change going from candidate Jones to Councilwoman Jones. The mode shifts from running for office to actually executing the duties of office practically overnight. Crazier. Yes. Everyday citizens like Oak Nelson and most of the people you see in this room are now stepping into a very big role, that of city leader. Every 2 years, the Utah League of Cities and Towns gets together with the elected officials across the state to go over some important how-tos.
For the elected officials, I think the most important thing is so they understand what they've just gotten themselves into and hopefully put their minds at ease.
Everything from managing roads to managing meetings.
It's basic information from this is what the city council looks like, this is how you make a procedure at a city council meeting, to this is how an economic development area works, and this is the process of adopting an ordinance or a resolution.
The weight was certainly on my shoulders. I felt the confidence of all those who were making those decisions on my shoulders, and it was important that I make decisions with all included, so that the collective is better off.
At this stage of the newly elected, there is plenty of food for thought here, such as dealing with matters that will become issues in the legislature. And dealing with the media. So just for experience sake, we give a good-hearted new councilman a taste of what most executives dread, the public accusation. Allegations of
The city recorder is accused of taking $50,000 from city accounts. How do you respond?
No one is accused of anything naughty, but it is a surplus of. There are many facets to government administration, overwhelming. But there is something to remember. Basically, everyone has chosen to be here. Did it for one reason.
I love the people, and I'm excited to serve on it.
I grew up in that community, I have a love for it. And so for me to be able to participate in what I see in the future of it really is fulfilling to me.
I've always been interested in Willard City, lived there for 50 years, wanted to give back.
What do you tell me to city council? I'm Susan Wood.
You know, that really just exemplifies most elected leaders, right? You just want to give back. You love the community that you live in, you care about it, you want to see it grow and prosper, and you want to give back.
I can add just something there to that. League of Cities is doing a Goodwill tour. If we would schedule, I talked to Ben about this a little bit, one of the meetings one of the discussions last Thursday out of the Iowa League of Cities board meeting was trying to get a Goodwill tour scheduled, and I talked to Devin a little bit from Carlisle, and it would be something where we could do that, bring in some, not only our elected officials at the time, but newly elected officials as well, and they will go through that. Now, we could go into January, February with that as well, but I think that would be something that'd be good as well. And then have Aaron do something similar to what they did in Utah there with videotaping and doing some stuff too, or videoing, not videotaping, showing my age. So, videotape it. Yeah, we can videotape it too, yeah. So we can,
on beta.
There you go.
Well, that's great. Yeah, there's lots of opportunities, and there's actually another video. It's a little bit long, but I think it's a good one that really kind of sets the tone of. It's called 200 Years of Sage Advice from those who are stepping away from being in office, which I think is really good for city staff and good for those who are potentially taking office here and having the opportunity to learn from the wisdom of those who've already been there. But as far as our form of government, we have a mayor-council form of government. We have 2 council members, of course, who are at large, 1 council member from each of the 4 wards. And in certain cases, the mayor may vote to break a tie on motions, but not involving ordinances or resolutions or appointments made by the council alone. And there's different powers and duties with regard to the mayor. The mayor, you are the chief executive officer of the city of Indianola, and you preside at all meetings. But a lot of the duties that would normally fall under a mayor under a smaller city are delegated to a city manager because we are a larger city. But the mayor still holds the authority to proclaim an emergency, has the authority to take command in the event of emergency and work with public safety officials, to call special meetings, to veto an ordinance or amendment or resolution that's passed by the council, makes reports to the council, represents the city in negotiations unless delegated to another, usually the city manager in many cases, signs contracts and ordinances, resolutions of the council, and appoints officials to certain boards and commissions. And I won't show this next one. This is Provo City and the mayor. It's kind of a little bit lighthearted. I'll skip that one. As far as council is concerned, the council appoints a city manager and the treasurer, attorney, clerk, and members of certain commissions and certain boards. You, the council, set the tone. You steer the ship. And you do that through the approval of budgets and policies, approval of bills and claims, and the payroll itself. You assess for improvements, and we're going to have some discussion about that tonight. You place the order for public improvements. You enter into contracts, set compensation for elected officials, determine their own rules for procedure, and you can serve as an advisor to boards and commissions. And we do have, and this is Jackie's part, I don't know if you want to cover your slides, but okay. We have 14 boards.
He's like, I did it once already.
Yeah, that's enough, yeah.
We have 14 boards. That's a lot of boards and commissions. 88 adult members serve over, and over 20 youth members. And those advisory boards provide information and support to the council on everything from land use to recreation to public safety to arts and everything in between. So we have a great amount of support from the community, and that really shines in the volunteerism that we have here. They oversee and organize programs and events for the community. Just like the Small Business Saturday coming up this week and Home for the Holidays in December. We're also a city divided to some degree. We are certain aspects of the city which you normally see united are in a separate entity wholly owned by the city of Indianola, and that is IMU, Indianola Municipal Utility, where our electric, internet, and water services are all provided. We have a subset of the city with our own board of trustees and appointed by the council and serving the residents of our community through the utilities that they provide and the fees that they charge. I am gonna skip there for a second and I'm gonna talk a little bit about this. Policies and procedures. For more information on the different things that our mayor and council performs and the responsibilities that you have, we have all of those outlined on our city website under mayor and council responsibilities. Specifically, we have a handbook that really outlines in detail every single responsibility of our mayor, every single responsibility of our council. In many cases, some of those responsibilities get delegated, so it might be mayor or designee. And from time to time, I may assist the mayor in performing your duties or assist the council in performing yours. Individually, you are all council members and don't have any power or authority. Collectively, you hold all power and authority. And so it's one of those unique balances where council members reach out and ask for information and direction, and we as staff try to respond. When we do, we respond to all so that you are all informed. These are all different responsibilities outlined in our handbook. We also have our council policy folder, and it's something that we want to take and review every 2 years, and so we're coming up on that time. And then there's certain trainings and opportunities that we can learn from the Iowa League of Cities and Towns on such things as open meetings and open records requests, and all of that information is out on their website. With that, we have about 20 minutes, and so I wanted to share this stage advice video with you because I think it's a good one. It really puts a light on, so I'm going to zip through some of these things with that we also reviewed, everything from the words to roles and responsibilities. I did want to share the one story. I had a brother one day, he was driving his car in Idaho. He's going through an intersection and he has to slam on his brakes in the middle of the intersection. Everyone's honking their horns on him, at him and whatnot. And so he rolls down his window and he holds up his steering wheel, which had just fallen off his car. And at that point, he starts questioning, what's the most important part of a car? Well, for him at that point, it was the steering wheel, but maybe it's the tires, maybe it's the engine, maybe it's the brakes. And it really takes a team. It takes all of us recognizing what our roles and responsibilities are, staying within our lane, and being able to take the vehicle forward. You are the drivers. We are the car and the engine and all the parts in between to help get us to where we need to be. I talked about the good, better, and best, and we've gone over that with our council and the dangers of conflict, that we need to assume good intentions, work together with kindness and respect, disagree without being disagreeable, civility in all things. What does it take to be a great elected leader? It really only takes two things. Everything else can be learned. You need to have integrity and you need to love the community. If you have those two things, everything else, all the skills, everything else can be learned. And you steer that ship through your policy, through your budget, and through your advocacy. You represent the city on various boards and organizations. We set the tone of the city and the direction of the city through a balance of quality of life and economic prosperity and providing essential services, all on a foundation of public safety. And we do that through setting mission statements and through our comprehensive plan. But at the same time, when we have multiple elected leaders, we can also be pulled in many directions. And so we can do anything. I'm absolutely confident we have the staff to do anything, but we can't do everything. And so we do need your direction and making sure we're holding the course. Talked a little bit about our direction And all the services that are provided by local government get to this one.
Being mayor or city councilman is really important, and especially in a small community like this. You really have the ability to shape policy.
We may argue, we may disagree, but through it all, we want our kids to have school, we want people to be safe, we want traffic to control, we want an economic basis in our community. Through it all, we share the same value.
Well, unfortunately, it's because one of the things that's kind of a little bit disheartening that when you have elections come up and nobody runs on the city council.
One of my biggest fears is that people who have the ability to serve and can really do a good job of shying away from local elected positions.
I think you could have a greater effect in this position than any position, because it's everyday life.
Being able to affect positive change in your community, to be able to really see good things happen.
The mayor offers a role of leadership that provides an ability to convene opportunities. Successful for preparation of opportunities.
We've got 5,000 souls that live in the city of Moab, and each one is important. My door's always open. People need to realize that the government works for them.
You know, everything I try to do here, it's not about you, it's not about that guy or my neighbor over here. It's what's the best for the city.
You get a little bit higher level of respect when you talk to people. My kids think it's really great that they're able to say that my dad's the mayor of the town of Alta.
I'm very proud of the building we're in. It's an old school that we moved in not long after I was elected, and we developed a park around it. And I think the development of Holiday, what has happened, it's kind of progressed from sleepiness to kind of a fun area to be.
Been developing a trail system and a trail network that is hugely popular with our residents. The city is able to acquire the Suncrest development out of bankruptcy. We'll be putting a large portion of that, probably about 3,000 acres, under a perpetual conservation easement that will be preserving that land for future generations.
Managing the growth and hopefully we'll work that in ways as possible. We've had a lot of changes over the time that in the last 8 years, maybe 20 years when I look back. We've grown our community from about 6,700 or something like that to a little over 11,000.
It took me more than 11 years to get State Street fixed between Murray and Sandy. It had no curb gutter and sidewalk. It's Highway 89, and that was one of my greatest achievements.
The economy, we went from a mining, mineral-based extraction industry economy to tourism economy. The biggest accomplishment, though, is the first green-powered community in the United States, recognized by the EPA. And, you know, we've invested heavily in solar.
There's so many other issues that other communities have that we just don't seem to have, and I attribute that to our forefathers, previous mayors, previous councils, and us as having a good plan in place and not dealing so much with the big stuff, but the little stuff.
We've been able to improve our city park area. That's been a work in progress for many years. I have worked to keep Alta the special place that it is, so that my children and their children and all future generations can experience and see Alta the way it is now and hopefully the way it will be in the future.
We put in new water lines, roads, infrastructure, but one of the major accomplishments that I look back on is the Miners Memorial that sits out on the corner of the City Hall lot. Together, the community raised $750,000 in donations to make the 5 monuments part of the permanent memory mineral extraction program.
City Light, the Christmas program that we do, the cleaning projects that the youth do every year.
For me, I had the unique experience of starting the city. Not many mayors get that opportunity. That has been a very rewarding experience. And frankly, as the first mayor, as the only mayor of Cotton Heights, I can humbly say I'm the best mayor of the city. Okay? Not many mayors can say that in truth.
The pressure from development up here in the town of Alta.
Development of
available property, undeveloped property on the east side of the city. You know, right now it's going through a lot of growth. We've got, you know, potentially 100 homes that are going to be built in the next couple of years. And the subdivisions, and I know all the other communities are dealing with it too. The infrastructure that goes in, the roads, the sidewalks, the water, you know, that's stuff that is going to be here that we're going to be dealing with for the next 50 to 100 years. Once that developer sells the homes and builds the roads and things in Frisco City, they're ours. The subdivisions, we allow them to come in here. We don't let them cut corners. We make them do it right. And then it's just that much less of a problem we have to deal with now.
Some of the most difficult things, I think, are personnel issues that you end up facing over time. Trying to help people succeed in their positions and then maybe increasing the accountability of those positions.
We lost our long-term city manager of over 20 years, and we hired another city manager. That didn't work out very well. So we've got an interim right now that's doing a great job. So things are back on track.
We experimented with privatizing our snow removal in Cottonwood Heights. That turned out to be a disaster, and it created a lot of turmoil in our city.
The crash in 2008, and everything just went downhill, and we just got by and got by and got by.
Loss of our industry, the coal mining industry had, in 2007, had 2,000 miners earning $70,000 annual incomes per year. Today we have about 200 coal miners dealing adequately and trying to help support the community's needs from an empty bucket might be the greatest challenge that this office has had.
The fact that we started out with 2 superfed sites. One was a smelter, and one was a mill where they crushed rock and ore. That was devastating. We have since been working with EPA to alleviate the problems of superfund contamination. And so we have had huge growth spurt in property that, when it was first designed as a superfund site, was given by the county a value of $2,500. It's now worth more than $400.
You know, I don't know if there's anything that I could share. That's the problem.
Somebody called and they asked to talk to the mayor, asked if he's in. The assignment is the mayor is mayor. And I'm here to tell ladies out there that we need more women in politics.
I have a police chief who loves to tweet what's going on in the city from a police perspective. One day, he chose to tweet that they had just issued a citation to a citizen who they found had 65 boa constrictors in his basement. Well, he just tweeted it out thinking that was a kind of a special interest story. But it made not only national news, but international news.
Did you have a discussion with your chief about tweeting?
Yes, we did. We did, and his tweeting was subdued significantly after that.
In our town council meetings, we always have a departmental report. Our marshal has always tried to throw a funny little anecdote in there. You know, he talked about how there was a call into our police dispatch center of a man chasing a moose up in the Albion Basin. Quickly escalated into a new call that says now we have a moose chasing a man. That turned around quite quickly.
Helicopters and everything, it was massive thing. And I showed up from work and I was in some old polo shirt. And they said, the mayor's in a helicopter, we need to do a news conference. Can you do it? I'm like, all right. They put me in front of all these cameras and put a mic on and go. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
We had a motorcycle shop here, and he said, I would love to be your transportation freight. So I rode the motorcycle. Now, he had a pet parrot. As far as the parrot was concerned, he belonged to her. So I'm riding the parade with a very jealous parrot telling me off.
It was crazy, I think. We were settled in 1907. And so in 2007, we had our centennial celebration. Many activities were planned. And one of the committee people came up with the idea, let's have a bunny hop. And we had many thousands. I have a picture behind me of that bunny hop. And we set the Guinness World Record of 3,840 people. They lined up for 5 blocks, solid. And I thought that was one of the most memorable events of my time as mayorship is seeing all those people doing funny cop.
The high school choir a few years ago sat me in the middle of the stage and sang in front of a large audience, perhaps 1,000 people, welcoming Mr. Grinch.
People ask all the time, well, why did you run for mayor? I was a scoutmaster at the time, and I didn't see any end in sight being a scoutmaster, and I had a choice, either do another winter of snow caving or run for office. It was not a hard choice.
I will miss most having contact with all of those agencies, all of those people that I worked with on a state level, on a national level, on a county level. Those partnerships are invaluable. I think there's a camaraderie that you develop. I will miss some of that.
I'll miss interaction with my citizens, and I have learned what great people we have here, and I will miss that opportunity to associate with them and the city officers and other elected officials. That's a special camaraderie.
The week we begin the moment, the people that we associate with, the people that put in the time and the effort, either we on city council, or the planning commission, the staff that we've got, the staff we've had. As the mayor, when you attend events and so forth, people give you a lot of feedback in terms of, things that are happening in the community and really helping you to understand all parts of the community. I would miss having that interaction because that's really when you become very intimate with what's going on. The daily opportunity of working with the staff members of Tri City to make good government better.
The interaction with people that I serve and the staff that I work with is a great staff. It's a great city. Great people live here, and that's the one thing I'm really going to miss.
The association I have with all of our city employees, the association I have with other elected officials, particularly here in Miller County and our 6 county region.
Working with department heads, working with the public. I've thoroughly enjoyed trying to problem solve. People calling me and having a problem in the area or in the city. When I came into this job, I thought there were 2 sides to everything. And then I found out there were maybe 17, maybe 30.
Being able to have a little bit of the inside information that maybe the general public doesn't have. And that ability when you say it's the mayor calling, usually everybody answers the phone call. It's not like, he's not in or
That's not true. That's not true. I'm sure you know that is not true.
Because I don't think that fills
Yeah, those long drawn out city council meetings, and not going to miss that too much.
My kids, they didn't want to go anywhere because a trip to the store that should take 10 minutes resulted in an hour. And so, maybe my family will be going to be seeing me more often.
The biggest thing to know is maybe it's budget time. It's really hard to decide what.
The mayor's job is a part-time job, even though it's 40 hours a week. I might get to see a little bit more.
Some of the things you have to take, frankly.
The neighbors can't get along with each other. I had a guy that told me this probably 10, 11 o'clock at night. He says, this guy, he says, he's parked in his driveway, he's shining his lights right in the bedroom window around the high beam. I said, well, what do you mean by that? Well, come make it stop. Big elements, severely over small, insignificant issues like weeds that are growing in the yard when the power goes out. It's always the mayor's fault. I wouldn't necessarily miss that.
The complaints about neighbors that don't take care of their yards.
The dog barking, and what can you do about that? How come my water tastes funny?
The mayor is responsible in the community's mind's eye for everything.
I've heard it all. I've heard pretty much everything.
Having to juggle my other activities around the schedule of the city meetings and city responsibilities and duties. Oh, she's had plans for 16 years that I never got to, so yes, there are plans there.
It's really important for elected officials to learn to be good listeners.
Be patient. Listen.
If you're talking, you're not listening, and people deserve to be heard.
Don't be so quick to talk, because you don't know it all, that's for sure.
And realize that things take time.
Don't be in a rush. You're not going to change the world. It's a very slow process.
Government moves slower than industry.
We're going to do this, we're going to change this, and we're going to do that. Doesn't work that way. Politics does not work right that way. When you first come in, you think it's gonna, you're gonna be able to make things different, but change takes time.
Running the city, it's political. Amazing. Let the citizens of the city know what's going on. You have to have meetings that are open and the people can attend and you can get both sides of the issue.
Get all the information you can, listen to all sides, seek first to understand before being understood.
Make sure that you can handle some of the critiques and so forth that come your way.
You can't serve in public office if you don't have a thick skin. You have to recognize that nobody knows everything that you know. And so you have a job to educate, and sometimes you have to be patient with the people to do that education.
Educate your citizens on why a certain decision is the right thing to do. That communication with the residents is so important, but it's also, I think, one of the most challenging things for us to do.
It's frustrating sometimes because people don't want to learn, they just want you to fix the problem.
Not everybody's opinions are going to agree. And as soon as you recognize that and help everyone kind of come to a common ground, that's really the biggest goal for the mayor.
If you are the mayor, you represent all the people in the community in a variety of things. You don't just come to an office for 3 hours in the day to answer the phone. You've got to work outside of that.
You need to become fully involved. It's something that you can't do just part-time. And you have to, it's something you can't just think about on the city council night.
Understand that this job will take as much time as you are willing to give it. And so you need to be judicious in the time you allot.
And that's a problem when you're a part-time mayor.
And I remember Mayor Dolan, when I was first elected, had a discussion with me. He asked me if I had figured out the great line. I said, what's the great line? He said, there's no such thing as a part-time mayor.
People need to learn how to be team players. Move on from issue to issue and work together collectively as a group is one of those things that I think is really important for council members to be able to do.
When you propose something and it was not successful to gain consensus, leave the fight alone, go start a new project. Don't belabor it and beat it to death.
The citizens of the community are looking for you to do the right thing, even though sometimes it's hard to know that what is the right thing.
The more you can involve department heads and employees, the better you're going to be.
There's people out there that are a heck of a lot smarter than you are.
I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm their representative. And I have to make sure that they know, and I know, that we are working together to make this a better place to live.
And many a time that, I've had voted on something that I probably didn't agree with, but it was the best thing for the community.
It's really easy to get involved and start to say, this is what I'm going to do for North Logan. But more importantly, this is what I have to do for Cache Valley, for the state of Utah.
Listen to the minority, but still have the political courage to do what's right for the whole community.
One of the biggest problems many elected officials have is an unwillingness to step forward and make that decision. They do paralysis by analysis, and it goes on forever.
There's nothing worse than not making a decision. If you don't make a decision, then nothing happens. And if we make the wrong decision, we can always correct it.
When you make decisions and work with people, think about what the long-term ramifications are going to be. Realize the things you do today are going to have different consequences down the road.
Wisdom is greater than knowledge, and always want to do the things that wise.
Get to know the people and work with the people.
Don't get discouraged, don't get flustered.
Be very, very respectful.
I wanted to get actually out from a register.
Just go around and go, we can put you down. Like, I appreciate you taking the time together, and thank you for your years of service to the people in the city of Hillville. I know that we've had our differences over the years, but one thing that I respect you from all of us is that at least you tried. Others who complain, yell, and talk, but you step up to the plate. You put in the time, the effort, the sweat, and the time to ensure probably tears of frustration. Edmund Burke, an Irish philosopher, once stated, the only thing necessary is to try and achieve evil is good and evil. No one can honestly ever achieve that. Thank you. And that's, it's not about the little money. It's not about this. The things you get, something like that. From a guy you don't always see eye on. But that's what it's all about. We don't get enough of it, but people say, I do that. That's what we're doing.
You've got to be the cheerleader, the leader, and the one that loves every citizen, whether they agree with you or not. You have to have mutual respect.
Everybody close the meeting.
Yeah.
Well, any questions regarding that? I think that's a good orientation to start with. I think, Indianola University, though, Melissa's been through it. And any ideas from anybody else? I mean, that's, I think where I learned the most was through those one-on-ones. And maybe we can coordinate those with Steve and Melissa together, so we could be cognizant of the staff time.
We are trying to set up meetings with each one individually, each department individually, set up technology in advance.
Great.
I would agree though, those one-on-ones where, libraries came in, parks came in, public works came in, those were the most educational, because there's a one-on-one setting where you could really just sit down, have a good conversation, ask the questions that were really on your mind and try to absorb the information. So.
Like give you direction for that? I don't know if we answered it, but. Great. Item number 3 is discussion regarding upcoming agenda items from within the regular November 20th, 2023 City Council meeting at 7 p.m. Seeing none.
I got a question.
All right.
5Q, where the creation of the community services officer. Is that going to create a need for another vehicle as well?
What we're, maybe if you can talk to this a little bit, I'm kind of envisioning that we were probably rotating when the next rotation out, we take an older vehicle out of life safety press vehicle for a community service.
Yes. We have one pending approval meeting. We have one set aside right now to be restriped, revamped, and ready to go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other ones? We will take a break for a minute. We've got about 5 minutes. We'll come back. Still always like doing that.
Makes you feel powerful.
All right, welcome to the City of Indianola Council meeting on November 20th, 2023. If we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackie, would you call the roll?
Councilmember B. Here. Parker.
Present.
Dalby.
Here.
Richardson.
Present.
Schroeder.
Present.
That's present.
Mayor Erickson.
Present. All right, moving on into item number 4 is public comment. Anyone wishing to speak should come to the lectern now and state your name and address for the record. If the item is on the agenda, we will take your public comments at that time. All right, seeing none, are there any items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda?
Item B, please.
Anything else? Can I get a first and second motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item B, approval of claims?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Ben, I know there's a lot of public hearings and important dates on here, if you want to highlight those.
There are. So we are setting 4 public hearings. The first is on a single-family residential R2 and also the M2 in the industrial zone, multifamily. And this is out on the 704 North 6th Street. We have a public hearing on, these are all on December 18th, so.
Also, isn't that also our swearing in day too, right?
Technically, it's the first, we still need to
First
discuss
meeting,
that.
well, okay, that'll save some time then.
Yep.
This will be a long one. We'll bring supper.
So Kentucky Bridge Planned Unit Development, the Emerald Bay Planned Unit Development, as well as the Deer Run Planned Unit Development, all taking place in December. We have the renewal of electric license, second and third consideration on the 3 ordinances there. Resolution approving the granting of a public utility easement on an alley at the 1100 block of East Ashland Avenue. We have a change order that extends the length and a pay application for the industrial park project of $93,000. Change order number 13 of $3,500 and pay application of $143 for the square reconstruction project. There was some discussion earlier about what that was for, and that was that portion of property that we wanted to make it so it was easier to maintain by putting rock in instead of grass. We have a U-Step funding agreement with Iowa DOT for the intersection of 92 and 2nd Avenue, as well as a resolution approving TIF debt certifications, a resolution amending an agreement with O'Halloran International for the purchase of a new single-axle dump truck. Public Works Department, there were some questions on that. Those were answered earlier as well. And a resolution accepting public improvements and a 4-year maintenance bond for streets, accepting easements and approving a final plat for the Indianola Industrial Park. And then a resolution creating the Community Services Officer position, which is a shared non-commissioned officer position to take care of code enforcement and other issues in the city of Indianola, shared by the Police Department and the Community Development Department.
So one quick question. I had somebody contact me today and ask me about the U-Step funding thing. Is there a time frame on that grant, or does it?
That is a $200,000 grant from.
Has to be used by a certain date or anything like that?
It's project specific.
Okay. Thank you.
And on 5L and the change order that was requested by us, as Ben said, so.
Dan, I just had some questions about all the public hearings at the same day. As we recently witnessed, several of these topics are, folks are very interested in them. And we've had a lot of interaction with the public, and if 4 at the same time is fine, and then that's fine. I just feel like we should at least, is there merit to opportunity to spread these out, to give a little more time at a meeting for people if they want to discuss it, to not kind of get lost in the blur? Is there a huge rush on some of these from developers? What your thoughts, anybody's thoughts?
Well, the biggest one, the Deer Run, I think a significant portion of those who spoke at that meeting had their issues resolved by the elimination of the South Street and the high-density area to the east closest to our street. I think that probably took about 80% of the pressure off of that specific one. But the other ones took a long time too. And maybe I defer to Charlie DeSalle on your thoughts as far as development pressures and timelines.
Charlie DeSalle, Community Development Director. I can't necessarily speak on development pressures. I haven't had any discussion with the developers on this one, if there is any time crunch on them. I know that once we kind of get through that public hearing stage, that's typically when developers will start to the next stage of the development, while we're still finishing the last two considerations with subdivision plats, site plans, or anything like that. Typically when we're in this time of year too, you know, they're trying to get work ready for spring, so they can start construction. So I don't know if it would be a huge pain to delay any of them at all. The soonest we can do any of them is on the 18th of December, but we could potentially delay a few of them if we wanted to, so.
I'm going to echo Josh's comments. I think we aren't doing justice to citizens to have the opportunities if we have a very, exactly that, you know, I got to the point the other night on the planning and zoning meeting where, you know, you just kind of get tuned out to a certain extent. So I don't want that to happen. This is a process that we need to make sure happens and stays in place. I think that is quite a few. I don't know if there's something that we could, I guess from my perspective, I just assume we not do 4 anymore. That's going to be highly controversial, at least with a couple that are highly controversial in the future on the same night.
We approve these resolutions tonight, and staff has discussions with developers, and one or more of them is okay with delaying. I don't know the process. Can you, once it's set, it's set. You can't delay it from that point, correct?
I'm looking at you, Doug, too, a little bit on the resolution side of things.
Hi, Doug.
You could open the public hearing and close it. Delay it for it to, we've done that in the past. That takes some agreement whose public hearing it is, but we have done that.
Yeah, and just so the council's aware too, so on zoning stuff, we have to publish in the paper seven days before the meeting. It's a little bit different than normal ones. And then the way that our local paper has timelines, really we're kind of at a crunch here to get that 7-day window. So I think essentially we have to have notifications out by Wednesday of this week. So it would be kind of a quick turnaround for us to figure that out, get the notifications out in time and all of that stuff, so.
I can also understand, you know, folks that have been through the process here already too, and not have to push it into next year for the new folks as well. But I just, for future reference, okay, I guess that's my point at this time.
So how would the council like us to proceed?
I mean, my opinion is 2 of those developments that had a lot of conversations, they're the same developer, right? So I know his timeline probably wants to stay on together with those, since maybe some businesses may be the same and doing things at the same time from a construction standpoint. I feel like they're going to be caught off guard if we don't set them now, because they're going to expect that this next process was the public hearing.
I think he did make comment at the planning and zoning meeting that he did not want to delay it any further.
He was pretty
go.
adamant on that, yeah. And I know that that's what we published in our press release was, you know, the public hearing would be this date. I think this is a really unique and great opportunity. It means that we're vibrant and we have a lot going on. Trying to take the spin and also appreciate everyone's time too.
I think that's the key, that I would just say that it's on us as staff and officials to be cognizant of the time flow of the meeting and making sure that everyone has an opportunity that wants to speak, right? Because again, Steve's point, like, I'm human, I'll admit it. I fell asleep watching the planning and zoning meeting the other night. It was long. I was glad I was on this instead of P&Z. It's tough because the people towards the end of the meeting maybe don't get heard as well as the folks in the beginning. And I just, of course, fine. Then it's on us to make sure that we manage the meeting properly and our comments and questions are on point. So that's all.
And I think that's really important. And typically that hasn't been something we've done in the past is, limit to that 3 minutes. And I think that that's something it's going to be really important, as well as not repeating the same thing. Because again, a lot of people left and they didn't even know what the resolution was, and they left angry because they didn't know a lot was taken out, and everybody's voice is important. But I totally get you. It gets really tiring.
K Street can give some coaching on how to have an orderly public interaction.
Definitely. We'll get you together with your neighborhood.
And I also think that it's probably important to state to the public when they're here to speak at these things that I think the majority, if not all of the council and mayor watched the planning commission meeting and heard a lot of those comments before. So
I have a spreadsheet. I actually wrote down everybody's name and wrote their concerns so I could share that with everyone.
Doesn't surprise me.
That was how I kept myself busy during the meeting. So I made a spreadsheet with concerns, and so I can share that with everyone as well. But yeah, I think we all tuned in and seen it through. I know Ron and I were.
I was on there too. But I think you've got to give everybody an opportunity to speak. We can't control what they say.
No.
I think that you just have to make sure that we keep the meeting in an orderly fashion.
Right, but people also need to take into account that if somebody else has already said your comment,
right,
you can get up and you can say, I agree with such and such, my comments are the same, but I think everybody needs to be respectful of everybody's time, because those people that did repeat over and over again, some of those others, like Josh mentioned, towards the end of the meeting, didn't get to get heard, and that's not fair to them. So I think as citizens, we need to also take that into account too, so.
And a lot of concerns that got brought up were addressed by the developer. And then I know those people were just as tired, right? But then some of those concerns came up in the following comments. So again, we'll just redirect them and make sure we manage that conversation well, because we want to hear everybody. We want to make sure that we're fresh when we're hearing it.
I think, excuse me, sorry. I think the main problem with that meeting was, as you mentioned, repeating. It was so repetitive.
it was repetitive.
Yeah.
Sorry, when it's a little difficult to hear you, you kind of cut out there.
Just so repetitive. I think if you can manage the repetitive comments and just be adamant that they don't get up and say the same thing over and over, even if it's a different person, it just went on way too long.
Yes.
I watched every minute. I did not spreadsheet. I would like to see that, but
I'll send you the spreadsheet.
It was long.
It was.
So I think, yes, we'll manage it. And I do think that a lot of that pressure and the concerns have been alleviated. Not all of them, but a lot of them have. So again, eat dinner before we come on the 18th, or everyone's going to be hangry. So moving forward, we won't do it again then, I guess. Or what happens if one of them wants to delay it, I guess? Like Josh said, maybe we go and have conversations with them tomorrow and someone's okay with delaying it. Let's say.
Sounds like it's too late now, isn't it? Set it tonight.
Again, I think as Doug mentioned, we could delay the public hearing and, it would just be indicative on us as staff just to make sure that we get the message out that it's being delayed, even though it was published for a certain time. If we do hear back in the next couple days, we can figure that out as well too, so.
Yeah, I just go back to from the start. I'm fine with 4. I don't love it, but it's fine. We have to be.
I don't think we'll have a lot of comment on the 6th Street
No, I don't either.
or on the Kentucky Ridge. Those aren't the two hot topics.
And I'll bring my spreadsheet so I can share with everyone that they document their concerns, and I have shared that with the developer too. And I'll continue to share those, so we hear them. Thanks, Josh, though. That's a good point. We wanna be fresh in here, and that will be probably my biggest moment as a mayor. I'm gonna have to manage it well, so we'll see if I make it. Any other questions? All right, Jackie?
Councilmember Dalby?
Aye.
Richardson?
Aye.
Schroeder?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Beach? Aye. Parker?
Aye.
Circling back to item B, I need a first and second motion to approve, item B, approval of claims.
Second.
Any discussion? Steve, I imagine there's a reimbursement on here. That's why you hold it. Okay. Jackie?
Councilmember Beach? Aye. Parker?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Richardson?
Abstain.
Schroeder?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Can I just ask one quick question? Do we print the urban vital, or the, not that, the refuse hauling rates, do we publish those or put them into the?
They're on our website.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, moving on to council reports, the National League of Cities Conference report from Councilmember Richardson.
Oh, boy. I think I sent all of it to all of you, basically. I'm not sure you've all read it. It's rather lengthy, but it's a lot less lengthy than my 29 pages of notes. The conference was.
Thank you for not sending those,
Yeah, I'm
by the
sure
way.
you really like that. I've got to tell you, it was an experience that I think we all, somewhere along the line, could benefit from. I know, John, I know you've been to partnership, and I have too, and Ron, and I think it was equal to that, if not better in a lot of ways. So I hope that we can talk with staff a little bit, and whether we include staff or allow staff to go. There were a lot of city managers, there were utility people there were police chiefs, fire chiefs. And I sat down to lunch. I try to sit down with lunch to somebody different every day, and it was, there's just everybody from about any department and staff you could have, and also mayors and council members and all over the board. So I attended a lot of conferences. I got two that I really kind of want to highlight a little bit if I can. First one was the tour that I went on Wednesday afternoon. It was a 3-hour tour. I said the Gilligan tour, but it was a 3-hour tour. City of Atlanta did, they took all of their public lands, which include school, city, county, state, their utilities, their public utilities, as well as their private utilities. And they did an assessment of those areas to find out what value was in those lands and what they could do with them. And what they then did was to start developing dense buildings, density and residency for multi-use, multifamily uses. The meeting started off in a 41-story tower on 2 Peachtree, which is right downtown in the heart of their area, the financial area in Atlanta. It was a state office building that the state no longer was using. They had an agreement with the city of Atlanta to take over that, and they were in the process then of reimagining that building into market rate housing in a portion of it at the upper levels. In the middle levels were subsidized housing, and in the lower levels was commercial office as well as residential or retail in the lower level. And that was, they had a developer come in and they were working with the developer on that. We went to another place that had a 19-acre, I think I put this in the items I sent to you if you read those, but they had a 19-acre area that was asphalt, completely asphalt. They had run the stormwater underground, and they had a building at the far end, which is the old Sears and Roebuck Southeastern U.S. headquarters. They had gotten that building in 2010, I believe it was. And this is the interesting thing about that. They had it assessed in 2010 at $27 million. The city took it over, and they then had a developer come in, and they said to the developer that you can have the building, but in 10 years' time, we're going to take 10% of the equity out of that building. So what the developer went in and did exactly what they're doing at 2 Peachtree. They're doing market rate, they do waiver housing, and then they do retail below. The interesting thing was that in 2020, when they went back to the developer and said, or the owners and said, we're going to take our 10% equity here, that $27 million turned into $125 million because the building was assessed at $1.5 billion with a B dollars. And so the city then recouped, obviously, much more than they had ever invested in that building. And then around that, they took this area that's 19 acres, tore up the asphalt, brought the water, stormwater above ground, created a retention pond, put a green space in, put walking trails around that. And that became the center. That old Sears and Roebuck building then became the center of all the development they were doing there. You're going to see a short video here that I'm going to have Jason show. Here it is right here. That building right there was put up in the last 18 months, as well as the next 2 buildings you're going to see here. That building was, and again, these are all multi-use, multi-family, high-density housing. And this is the green space around it. Obviously, you can see I didn't get a picture of the park or anything. This is all connected. There are 22 miles of trails. That's another building going up down there that you can see as well. And this was the area that they created. And that space, they said, was where the old utility would put their poles, their transformers, their old vehicles and things like that. What I got out of this was that we really probably need to do sometime in our future, finding out what our vacant areas are in the city and get an assessed cost so we can figure out what the value is and then find ways to get the best return on our investment. The other one that really struck home with me was one that Captain Hawkins sat in on. They had all about drones and how the police officers can use drones in their everyday usage. They found out that drones can be almost like another officer because a lot of times the drone will be sent out on a 911 call. They'll find out that really there's not an officer needed because either situation has abated itself. He gave the example of two guys fighting in a parking lot. And so they got the call, 911 call came out. Drone immediately was released, and this is the city of Chula Vista, California, which encompasses 52 square miles. Those drones get there within 90 seconds. Any place in the city, they can get in within 90 seconds of the call. The drone got there, showed up, the guys stopped fighting, they left. Police never had to show up. It was one of those situations where, again, officers didn't have to waste their time. There was another situation, I was telling the chief here beforehand, that girlfriend got upset because her boyfriend stolen a motorcycle and she was trying to run him down because she didn't want him to be picked up for stealing a motorcycle. And that went on for like 18 blocks or something like that. And the entire time the drone's following them and the police are trying to find where they are. And of course, got the drone video and everything else. But the most important thing that came out of that was that they had a call, there was a stolen vehicle. And of course, the drones they had license plate readers. And the license plate reader came up, it was stolen. The drone locked into the car immediately, followed it. The perpetrator stopped at a convenience store for whatever reason, must have got thirsty or something. But the description of the perpetrator was a male with white, black shirt, white pants, African American. And so the drone's sitting above the scene here, and you can kind of see still the backside of the convenience store. And so the guy comes out, and by this time all the police cars pull up. But over on the side of the drone video, another African American in a black shirt and white pants. And they said that that was an opportunity where it could have been a mishandled arrest because they matched the description. The person that stole the car was still in the convenience store when he saw the police officers. He went back in the store, ran through the store, went out the back door. Drone went over, followed him, got it down to 100 feet where they saw he could hear the drone. Then at that point in time, the guy just stopped because he knew his head. So a lot of good things about it. It's a very costly system, but we're one of the few in the state of Iowa that have 6 officers trained, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I would highly recommend as we look into new public safety building that we find ways to put launch sites off of that public safety building for our drones and make that as part of the system as well. So again, I would highly encourage anybody to go on one of these sessions. I think I attended 14 or 15 in 3 days, and I'm still tired, to be honest with you. A lot of good stuff, though.
Thank you. Thanks for taking that trip. Moving on to item B, I need a first and second motion on the appointment of Amy Lars. And did I say it wrong? Lures. Okay. I'm so sorry to anybody who puts their name up here because I'm going to butcher your last name. So let's do this again. I need a first and second motion on the appointment of Amy Lures to the Sustainability Committee for a term beginning immediately and ending July 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, Jackie?
Councilmember Schroeder,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
Beach,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Richardson.
Aye.
All right, welcome aboard, Amy. Item C, I need a first and second motion on the reappointment of Monica Wyman to the Indianola Public Arts Commission for a term beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending July 1st, 2026.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Jackie?
Councilmember Beach,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Richardson.
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Moving on to item 7, the mayor's report. I don't have a lot. last week I met with Jay Byers and we created a little video that will be coming out announcing our Town and Gown Committee, which will be bringing the love of the citizens and the students together. We're very excited about this. As someone who has a college student, I think it's really important that their community embraces them. So we've got some fun things coming up with that. We have the Home for the Holidays event on December 9th. The Indianola Mayor's Youth Council will be there again, taking letters and helping children write letters to Santa Claus, and then they will in turn get those to Santa, and then responses will come the following week from the elves. Mayor's Youth Council is also going to be presenting to the Rotary on early December. And Professor Pauly has invited me to come and listen to his honor students' presentations on critical thinking and systems, specifically covering Indianola and Warren County. So doing that. If Steve, if you would like to come, anybody who wants to come and listen to him, I will send you the invitation. And that is all I have. All right. Moving on to public consideration. Item A, old business, discussion and direction on South K Street assessment methodology.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a little very short presentation, but we've been busy revising the concept for South K Street per your direction. And before we can move forward, we need a little check-in and some additional direction. So I will be brief. I started with 24 slides and I cut it down to just 14. So we're in good shape, and one of them's a title slide. So look at us go. Just quickly, what we're after tonight is to update you on the project concept and where what we found. And where we are with that, review the assessment methodology, because we do have a new design approach, so we have to make sure that our methodology fits with our design, and then seek some additional direction on how we would like to engage with the public for the rest of the project. So here, another slide. That one went quick too, didn't it?
This is great. I like it, Dave.
So we'll the context-sensitive design approach that we took tried to consider the development potential, the existing development in the corridor, and the land use around it, and the kind of the long-term development plans for that area. So we took an approach that we would try and tackle all the major benefits of paving a roadway, and do it in a kind of a time frame that made sense with the existing use. So we looked at a rural roadway with a 10-year design life, which we ended up with a 24-foot wide road. That's pretty much kind of a standard county paving road. Most county paving is 22, so this one's a little wider. It's 24 feet. Standard lane widths are 12 foot. And then we're recommending 5-foot paved shoulders on either side of that. But at the intersection with Highway 92, earlier in the meeting, you approved a USTEP funding agreement with the Iowa DOT that will help fund the intersection improvements at that intersection. And we're looking at a full build-out, auxiliary lanes, 3 lanes wide, with curb and gutter and storm sewer in the intersection area. So just about 180 feet back from the intersection where the turn lanes are, we're looking at a full build 8-inch PCC pavement on that area. So that's pretty much consistent with the previous concept. As far as the multi-use trail, there will not be a separate trail. The 5-foot shoulders are wide enough that you could use that to accommodate bicycle traffic on either side of the roadway. So that's kind of a context. There's existing street lighting out there now. There's existing poles out there now. We look to try to avoid as many impacts as possible and reuse that lighting. And then try to keep the improvements primarily within existing right-of-way. So try and minimize the purchase of additional right-of-way. So that's the kind of the context-sensitive approach that we took. So now we need to look at how how the changes to the design affect the assessment and the approach to the assessment methodology. Again, it's who's the benefited project or people, and what costs are you going to assess and how you're going to distribute it. That's our three things. The assessment district is pretty much the same as it was before. However, in this context-sensitive design, we are extending the pavement down all the way to the dog park. So the project is a little bit longer than it was last time. And we're not relocating South 17th Street. So that district is pretty much the same. And there aren't very many changes to the who part of the equation. The other main part of it is what are we going to assess? What are we going to ask the adjacent landowners to share in? We talked about the pavement is a big part of conferring those benefits in terms of all-weather operations, as well as elimination of fugitive dust, safety, and all those things. So that's a pretty chief part of the project. So that element would be assessed. It was 25-foot back-to-back before. It's only 24-foot wide now, so it's a little bit narrower. It's also 3 inches thick instead of 7 inches thick. If you recall, we were building an 8-inch thick slab, but only assessing 7 inches. Because of the context-sensitive approach, we're assessing all 3 inches of the asphalt. That's appropriate to the work. So the subgrade and the subbase, which is a very important part of the project, that stabilized subgrade is letting us only have to pave 3 inches. That's a big part of how that all works together. So we feel that that's an important part of the improvements to be assessed. The paved shoulders, we went back and forth with staff quite a bit, kind of broke down all the things, all the benefits that a paved shoulder gives you. It extends the pavement life. So most of the failed pavement starts at the edges and works their way in, so that paved shoulder will extend the pavement life. It really does a good job improving safety. A very high percentage of severe accidents are from overcorrection from dropping off the edge of the roadway, so that we can eliminate that, as well as the multimodal accommodation, possibility of striping those as bike lanes. So those are kind of the chief things. That seems more of a general benefit than a specific benefit conferred upon the adjacent property. So we're recommending that not be included in the assessed costs. Sometimes you have assessed storm sewer. Again, most of the work on this project are culvert crossings, which is really, getting the water from one side of the road to the other. So that's really more of a general benefit than a specific benefit. Sidewalks, you typically have assessed. There are no sidewalks on this project that will be assessed. The sidewalk work at the intersection of Highway 92 and K Street is chiefly pedestrian ramps, and you don't assess the pedestrian ramps typically. So there's no eligible cost for that, even though that's typically a yes for the city of Indianola to assess. Then the remaining items are not included or are not included in the assessable project cost typically, except for the default fund, which is permitted by code. So those are the things that we're recommending that they be assessed. The shoulder is something we could talk about. We went back and forth on that quite a bit. Our analysis suggested that it wouldn't be part of it, but we could assess a portion of it if you felt that that was important to get a portion of that improvement included in the assessments. So that's certainly something for you to consider. So the next item on the methodology is all the special things that we do after the Flint formula. The conditional deficiency is still in play. according to the rules, we did have the valuation panel reconsider all the values that were placed on the property from the difference between a 31-foot curb and gutter roadway and this rural roadway section, and they'll adjust the council valuations accordingly. Just got that report back from that panel today, so we're do a little checking on that. So we're prepared for to move that forward as soon as we get the rest of the methodology figured out. So again, those are important because you can't be assessed more than 25% of that council valuation. The unique features of the design, I think those are important to consider. If you recall, the last methodology included a deduction for difficulty to develop properties. Now that we've taken this context-sensitive design and reduced the pavement section accordingly, we believe we've addressed those challenges in the design itself, so that there won't be a special deduction for various slopes and various difficulty of development. We think we're accounting for that in the overall approach. The corner lot reduction is still effective. Again, that corner lot reduction is for properties on the corners of streets that we either have paid for assessments or will pay for assessments at some point in time that their roadway is paved. Special situation at the intersection of Highway 92 and K Street. Highway 92 being a state highway, it's not eligible to be assessed, will never be assessed. So that corner lot reduction isn't appropriate to apply to those corner lots. Similar to last time, the reduction for the floodplain area, our extension of the improvements to the south will include more floodplain area. Most of the area on the west side of the street down there is going to be floodplain, so we'll have some more floodplain area that will be reduced. And then the last one I think is important to consider. As I mentioned earlier, it's appropriate to construct the intersection of Highway 92 and K Street to the full build out with curb and gutter or storm sewer, pretty much the same as the last project. What we're proposing is similar to the last approach. We were building a 31-foot wide street, but only assessing a 25-foot wide street. Our approach at this point is that it's appropriate for those properties within that area where we're doing the full build. The purpose of that full build is for auxiliary lanes and truck turning movements. So that's really more of a general benefit than a specific benefit. So we're proposing to kind of calculate their assessment based on that, the same typical section the rest of the project. So that assessment would be calculated based on a 3-foot asphalt pavement and a 12-foot or 12-inch deep stabilized subgrade. So that is our proposal. That I would ask you to consider whether, well, since that's full build, maybe that should be just the same way that we did it last time. We would have to break a separate division in the assessment. So we'd have basically 2 assessment districts, one for the full build and one for the context sensitive area. But again, based on that approach, it seemed appropriate to us to assess a similar section for all the properties along the roadway. We still believe that it's appropriate to approach the land use in such a way where we'll offer petition waivers for those folks that want to develop. And they certainly have a right to the agricultural deferment, and we also think it's appropriate to open the conversation with a potential development agreement for large lot single family residences where the development or where the assessment would be appropriate to a large lot size, and then the remainder of the area would be deferred through a development agreement, and at such time where that they redeveloped into 3 or 4 more houses or whatever it is, that the balance of that assessment would come due. So that's a very consistent approach. So the two, just to recap, before I move on, the two things that we're doing that's different than last time is we're assessing the context-sensitive section through the entire project, even in the areas where we're building full depth, full width pavement. And the non-reduction for difficult developable parcels, because the whole project really addresses the context of the. So I thought it would be kind of a good summary slide. If I was only going to get one slide, this would be my slide. What it was and what it is now. We were proposing a 31-foot back-to-back curved roadway. We're now at a 24-foot wide pavement with 5-foot shoulders. The last design, we had 20 temporary easements, 10 permanent easements, and 1 fee title acquisition. Now we're into reduce that significantly into 8 temporary easements, 2 permanent easements at drainage outlets, and one fee title and that's in the intersection area. We were looking at a construction cost of $7.2 million. And now we're looking at a total cost of $2.9 million, and the project's actually a little longer. The assessable cost was $1.8 million before, and now with the reduction in pavement, and if that meets your proposal, there's an asterisk on that $0.53 million is the assessable cost as we're asking you to consider. So that's a fairly significant reduction as well. And my favorite reduction is the construction completion is really kind of starting to look at like a 1-year project instead of a 2-year project, which is fantabulous, if that's a word. So that's kind of the nutshell version of where we're at today. The other part of it is dependent on kind of where we go from here. Looking at kind of the things that we have accomplished and the things that we need to accomplish, and really get down to that public process is where we need to seek some advice. After the August public meeting, we were prepared to meet with every single property owner and share the individual information, the assessment plat schedule, et cetera. We were going to have those individual meetings. But now that we've changed the design context, I guess we're looking for a little direction, whether we proceed with those meetings and mail out the proposed design to the affected property owners, or whether we have a public meeting at a council study session, or whether we conduct another public information meeting where we would roll out the plans again, and then go from there. That has an impact on how the rest of the schedule rolls out. Obviously, another public information meeting, we'll have to send out invitations, book a room, give people time to schedule that. That will have the biggest impact on schedule. However, I still think we have time in the schedule to build this project next year. I think we might be looking at maybe a March letting or a late February letting instead of a March letting if we go through the public information meeting process again. It does get kind of tough this time. The time of year is not working with us. It's kind of tough to have get a public meeting in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But again, I think that's all up to your direction. That's probably the biggest piece of advice that we're asking for tonight is how you want to take this back to the public and go through that process.
Well, are we going to see those valuations on December 6th? I mean, if we see them December 6th, they're going to see them too.
Correct.
So,
right. And that's kind of where I was like, well, we could do all of that at a study session. We can do it the 18th. Is there time?
Dave, we appreciate that thought. But I don't think these people want to fight in that room either for seats.
Is that December 6th or December 4th?
December 4th.
Okay.
Did I have the 6th? Yeah, they call it Davoglyphics at the office. Sometimes my numbers get a little, that could be a 4, it could be a 5.
And do you think from a study session standpoint that would be appropriate to share? I mean.
Do we have availability on the 6th?
On the 4th?
Or
We
4th,
did
I
it
mean.
during, yeah. We're all stuck on the 6th now, Dave.
Yeah.
And we have our audit.
What would happen if, I mean, this room's not gonna be big enough if we wanna have a public meeting with everyone. We go down to the room, we do it down there for.
So that's what we did on planning commission night, is set it up so that it was televised in the other room and we could have them in both. And together it's 143 seats.
But what I'm saying though is have it sit, I mean, to lay the maps out and everything and any discussion, have just meet down there at 6 o'clock to, is that a bigger room anyway? Is that right or not? No.
Not really.
Okay.
And we can provide information ahead of time, you know, in
We
terms of
certainly
the.
want to have that conversation the day we're seeing the numbers, because there will be.
I was gonna say, I think people would be more interested in the numbers that day than so much.
I think
seeing
they
the maps
understand the
together.
methodology and all of that. That might be a good time to maybe, we can have one-on-one conversations, because again, we appreciate your 11 slides, but they just want to know what they're going to be charged in all honesty, and how we can work that out. They can stay in their homes.
Well, and could we mail them out, email them out prior to the 4th? And
Yeah. I believe so, and we'd have to call them trial instead of preliminary. But, I mean, really all you're doing is accepting it. You're not taking action on it. You're not adopting it at that meeting. You're just receiving and filing it and say, oh, this is what we're going to talk about at the public hearing that we're going to set. That's really the only action you're taking. You're not making
Public
any
hearing's
decisions.
18th.
I think the public hearing is probably going to have to, just
Josh
from
is shaking
timing
his head.
standpoint with the holidays, I think the public hearing is going to have to slip until the 10th of January, I think is probably a better time. What calendar am I looking at?
2nd of January.
Oh, the 10th was the letting date, that's right.
I'm sure half of them are going to say no.
Or 16.
Half will say yes. I think maybe if we can get those out and then have people be available the 6th during our study session. Or the 4th, the date.
Let me go back to my
If we
favorite
could,
slide.
yeah, there we go, we're not looking at it anymore. And then we could answer questions, and again, we'll still set up the one-on-ones with people, but that'll be, everyone seeing, I don't want them to see it in a meeting when we're seeing it at the same time as you guys do.
Right.
But at least give them the opportunity to come and.
Well, ideally, we publish our agenda on the Thursday before.
Yes,
If we can try to get those mailed or in the, the packet and all that kind of thing, emailed out. I'm not sure exactly what our form of communication would be, but that way you're getting them and the public's getting them all right at the same time.
And Aaron, maybe before all of these folks leave that are in here, maybe we could set a
We already
sheet.
have all their emails.
You got the emails, all right.
And addresses and everything
Yeah,
from
that's all,
the meeting.
I should have known. Do you guys already have that? All right.
A couple of questions I have.
Yes.
So we're not going to take the portion from 17th to the beginning of or to where the dog park is. That's not going to be part of the assessable process. Is that correct? Or?
It is part of the assessable process. Unfortunately, it's, you own the property on the east side,
Right.
and the west side is
Well,
floodplain.
yeah, I know, but
But that will still increase the total number of benefit points. It was like, 22,640 some. This will be closer to 23,000 benefit points. So there's more benefit points, there's more stuff in the denominator, and there's a lot less stuff in the numerator. So we're going in the right direction.
Maybe get that development off the ground too.
Yeah. The other question I have for you as well is, if we go 24 feet with 2 5-foot curb shoulders, does the current width of that gravel road through the entirety of the project Is that going to accommodate that?
Pretty darn close, as you can say, we're down to 8 temporary easements is all we're doing on more than a mile. So it fits most places, it fits.
So, but my question more importantly is, you made a comment during one of the meetings about the subgrade of a county road that's been there for years and years and years is probably the best thing that we could use to put down asphalt. So with that said, 34 feet, are we going to be in areas where we have to kind of build that up a little bit to get that 34 feet? And then my concern is then, does that become areas that's going to be problematic for us within that 10 or 12 or 15-year timeline that the roadway is good?
So how we go about that is that, for example, we build a bigger subbase than the pavement is, so that the equipment can, the construction equipment can ride on prepared subgrade. So it's usually 3 foot wider than the pavement. So we have, a pretty good platform to work from. And we say it's 12 inches thick. And you can't hardly build a 12-inch subgrade without getting some more compaction underneath there. So it's a pretty stout approach. And we'll probably look at somewhere between 6 and 8% cement mixed in with the gravel that's been there. You paid for every one of those rocks, so we're going to keep every single one of them there. And we'll mix 6% probably cement, Portland cement. We used to use fly ash, but we don't get that much anymore. And so there's a little swell there, so it is semi-rigid, and it provides a really good platform to work from. It's in the dry as soon as you construct it, and then they can trim that so that it fits right to the pavement.
Right. Well, I'm just going back to the point that I want to make sure that we aren't overextending much of what our current subbase is on that from that old gravel that's there, because as you stated, if you go on that as an assumption, that is the best subgrade.
Yep.
So my point is I'm trying to figure out ways to make sure that we continue this project or the asphalt keep it as long as we can in good shape so that it's not a cost to the entire community as well. These folks are paying their assessments. You want it to last as long as you possibly can. So that's a little bit of my concern. If we need, I don't know if we need to go to a 4-foot shoulder, if that makes any difference, but I'm just saying whatever we can do to make sure that we extend the life of that asphalt as long as we possibly can. Which brings me to another point then. Are we actually cutting out some of that subgrade for a culvert then? Or are we going to bore underneath? What are we going to do here?
We'll probably trench it. We'll probably open cut it, dig it with a backhoe, put the culvert down there, and then we'll backfill that culvert with rock up to the.
I think what Steve's trying to say is we don't want any change orders, so we want to make sure that.
No, it's not.
Right.
It's not it at all. What I'm asking is, but thank you, I appreciate that.
Because we know there's some deep areas.
No, but I want to make sure, because here's the problem. What I see is if we cut into that subgrade, then now all of a sudden we've got a situation where we've got 10 or 12 feet of a culvert that's there. And is that going to be the portion of the asphalt that fails the first part of that, because it's new subgrade versus the old subgrade?
So, and I appreciate that, and we want homogeneous subgrade big time. That's you can see utility trenches in brand new paving. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine.
Right.
The depth of the process helps. Also, the process is basically they mill it. There's a great big disc, and it's very much mixed all together so that we get that homogeneous. And the aggregates distributed throughout the depth and width of the subgrade.
So that, again, my main point is I want to make sure that the entire project is as long-lasting as possibly can be, and not have any spots where it's going to fail quicker than somewhere else would be. So that's my point.
Very observant, because I didn't even know what half of the stuff you were talking about.
Okay.
On the easements, so there was one property specifically that the easement was gonna take us clear up right next to their house. So this is gonna eliminate that, correct?
And they did look at it, didn't they, the assessment panel, as far as with those 5-foot shoulders and without the 5-foot shoulders, right? But you said that in there, that
They looked at it as a 5-foot shoulder.
Okay.
Because they're just looking at the value impact to the property. How much is the property value increased because I have this paved road with the paved shoulders?
I think this is great, and I think that's a much better and meaningful number. Gwen,
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, first of all, Dave, fantabulous is a word, and this is fantabulous. Wonderful. And you all sounded like you were doing the who's on first routine when you were talking about dates. Does everybody have the dates straight?
Yes.
Okay. And Ben, do we have agreement from IMU that they are not going to, it won't delay the project waiting for equipment?
So that was one of the questions that had come up, and an email went out to the council and to the IMU board of trustees. Mostly it stemmed from a conversation I had last week with Chris Blanks with regard to the ordering of the equipment necessary for the installation of electric and I think also fiber in the intersection area of 92 and K Street. There was a certain amount of trepidation about wanting to order that equipment before IMU felt confidence in the council's direction that where you were going. And so consequently asked if we would send out that. And I have received responses from all 7 of you that you are in support of this project moving forward. While there may be some discussion about how the assessments go forward, the actual moving forward of the project was something that you wanted to proceed with. I've responded to IMU and to Chris. I have not received a response back yet, but it is something that we've talked about, at least since I've been hired before. And the schedules, I know that the biggest fear was before in the old design standard, the requirement of all the cuts and the fills, and that would relocate all of the poles and the dramatic workload that it would impact on IMU. And with the retraction of the road standard from urban to a rural design, it made it so that the poles could stay, the cuts and fills weren't going to be there. And so the only main impact area is going to be the intersection of 92 and K Street. And so with your blessing, gave the hopefully the assurance that Chris felt he needed and Mike felt they needed to get the order moving forward. And I look forward to their response.
I think you were very clear in your email to them that.
Yeah, I did receive a phone call today from one of their board members, actually their leaders, and there is definite some concern. They're really concerned with the fact that it's changed, and I tried to assure that, I feel like this project's going forward. And just what you had just said, that while there may be some moving parts with the assessment part of it, but the project overall itself, and then comment came up about, well, we're not the only ones involved in that project, that there are other people on those poles there in that intersection. And I guess I asked you and you said that we've already been in contact. And
we are, and we have, and it is always a challenge with CenturyLink and MediaCom in trying to get them to move. It's going to be a constant pressure to have them coordinate and be with us every step of the way. But that's the best we can do is work with them. And the big concern that we really have is that the equipment is necessary if we're going to stay in one construction season. If we were to wait to do the letting before ordering the equipment, we guarantee that we'd be in the 2025 construction season. And of course, that adds cost to everybody, the whole way through residential life.
I don't know how we, hopefully they understand that and take that into account. But like I said, that just was their concern, is that, basically they're going to start spending money on something they really don't even have a total correct, So that was, I said, well, I brought it forward. I was asked and I did, so.
Chris and I have talked about this extensively for, quite a bit before, and I truly understood where moving the roads and the fact that we almost had to do the whole road all at once because you're cutting from one area to fill in another area. This has really taken a whole heck of a lot of the pressure off. They may still go forward and put it out to bid and have outside crews go ahead and do that work. But with the outside crews doing that work, if I know that Chris and Mike really want to ensure the quality of the construction that goes on there. And the best way to ensure the quality is to be able to order the equipment and that they like and the materials that they want so that they have a hand in selecting those. And the best way to make that happen is just to place the order. Of course, it's a purchase order and you pay later when it arrives and all that.
So my question would be, I'm guessing that, John, when you received that call, they would have already known our reassurance. Is there still hesitation?
Yeah, they felt like it was just dropped on them at the last minute.
That might be a little disingenuous on their side, because I know the conversation has happened with their general manager for it's been an ongoing. And I'm not saying it's disingenuous from them, they might not be getting the information where I feel.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just.
I appreciate you bringing it up, because I think if there's concerns, it's, they're very valid, and I respect that board member a lot, so.
I can understand the assurance, especially where we've gone from one design to another, that they want a certain sense of assurance before placing a large purchase. But I think we've provided that and we're ready to pull the trigger and still be within the 1 year construction window timeframe. One of the questions that may come is, do we, go through a letting on both at the same time? Does IMU want us to incorporate it into one bid contract, even though we might have the materials? And I think that's ongoing discussions we need to have with Chris and Mike.
All right, any other questions? Thanks, John, for having those conversations, and
I was asked them, so
I do think they're valid. I know that you've been meeting a lot with them on this, so.
One last question I have then, have we had any further discussion about, I know we're not doing any speed changing. I'm assuming that we've been going to be working with the citizens then about trying to make sure that we find ways to hold the speed a little bit along that roadway then once it's paved.
That is a challenge. As soon as you pave something, people will drive faster on it.
That's true.
It's gonna be just like, what is it, Kenwood? Is that the one they like to speed on?
Mhm.
Ben lives on that one.
15.
You'll hear them revving their engines too.
I'm guessing there's a video in our future.
Well, there are all kinds of signs down at the trade show at the National League of Cities on, these nice big things that flash at you when you're doing stuff. I don't know if that works or not.
Thank you, Dave, for being here this evening. Is there anyone in the audience? I know that a lot of you from K Street are here. And I would welcome your comments if you'd like to speak.
Yeah, I said I'd mention to Barb, Mayor Jim Berkeley, 1007 South G. Y'all know me, I'm sure, by our property is on K Street as well. So I know this is not a voting time, and we still have time for further discussion. I guess the one comment is that the 24-foot and 5-foot shoulders is still going to have major impact on those of us that are affected by this project. And so I really want the council to take into consideration, again, specifically, I know the comment was made that it's not going to impact the Sullivans. But if you look at how K Street currently is structured geographically, the west side where Bussimus has the property all along K Street is a big drop off. Having the ability to add additional shoulder on that side is going to cost more to build up the substrate. So where are you going to go? You go to the east side, you're going to be right inside the Sullivan's living room. So I really want the council to please take into consideration the major impact this project is going to have. Yes, we need to do something, as we've said all along, about the dust. I personally do not agree with the Flint methodology. With this being identified as a rural connective street or road, which is going to have the ability to impact multiple people across the city, I don't think that just 30 or 40 of us should be assessed for even the $500,000. I think it should be a general assessment across the city, because the city's going to have all access to go down to the dog park and parts down to Deer Creek, Deer Run, and parts south towards Aquavi. So I guess I would like that to be a consideration as well. And we can discuss more at the next meeting, which I'm sure we'll have more comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Councilwoman Beach, that was the question you were asking specifically on the Sullivan's property, right? When you asked Doug.
Right, well, and not necessarily just on their properties, but it's a few properties right there, and I think yours is one of them.
Yeah.
And in the previous setup, it would have cut quite a ways into like where your wildflower fleet.
Yeah, my
fields are.
wildflowers are
And those
bees.
Yeah, and those are things that we'll address in all of these individual meetings when out at the properties, right? You'll meet at the properties, we'll go through those. The last thing we want to do is create a hazard for the Sullivans where a car runs into your house. And, so those are things we'll look at. I was trying to see how far they are off the road, but it doesn't matter.
It sounds like, majority of the road is already
There.
34 feet in a
Yes.
lot of those sections, so it would.
Be 2.5 feet on each side
Yeah,
essentially.
we'd have to go out and really measure, how wide the road is in front of your street to be able to say, exactly, which I'm sure they will do at some point.
And the overall right-of-way, remember, is much shrunk now because you're taking the
Yes.
sidewalk and the park strip.
Right. So we're losing a lot of that was planned in, so it's gonna shrink that up quite a bit.
Correct.
Because the original roadway was gonna be 31 feet.
Plus the park strip
Plus
and then
the
the
park strip.
sidewalk.
So yeah, it should shrink it quite a bit.
It's over 35 feet right in front of their house, so.
It's over 35
It's
feet.
over 35, yeah.
And I think that's why you were asking the question about the integrity of building it up, because we know we have some pretty big drops, right? And we want to make sure it's gonna be sustainable. And again, if we're at over 34 feet there, we're only looking for 2.5 feet on each side. And certainly, we wouldn't be
Well, technically,
cognizant of.
you would have the 2.5 feet on each side. Or is he saying 5 feet on each side?
5 feet of shoulder, 24 feet of lane
Yes,
drop.
5 feet on each side, so we've already got 34 feet.
Right.
So you split that.
But then he was saying a 3-foot build out,
So they have a flat platform to.
flat platform, so it's actually 5 plus 3.
But that's
You got
below,
8.
that's below grade, right? Come to the edge of the roadway, there's a slope, we're building it down there below grade.
Okay, so it's not
actually
gonna
wider,
be,
it's wider 2 foot deep, 2 foot below the pavement, or the surface, it's wider because of it slopes down, so it's not quite exactly.
gotcha, so the impact is gonna be minimal then?
Very minimal.
Okay.
That's what we're shooting for.
And again, those are all details once we have the specifics and ones that we'll all probably reach out to you all and chat and make sure that there's a happy compromise for everyone. Would you like to say?
Well, that was one of my questions, was to clarify that we were gonna have, is it 5 feet on the shoulder or 2.5 feet with a total?
5 feet.
5 feet about.
It's 5 feet, but his part of the road was 34 feet. That's why we were saying it's only 2.5, because we have to only add.
Just wanted to clarify.
Dean, if I'm not mistaken, though, isn't the gravel portion currently 35 to 30?
Some places 40 feet wide.
Yeah, and so it's really, yeah.
Natalie Clark, 1306 Southwell Court. So why does it have to be moved to January 10th? Like what was it,
It's a
the thing
legality
that was
of-
supposed to do the
So-
December 18th?
So we can publish notices.
Yeah, legally, we have to set a certain amount. So, for instance, December 18th will be the public hearing. We'll set that at our.
December.
Not December 18th, I'm sorry. We'll set the public hearing. So there has to be a certain amount of time. We'll get the assessments at the next meeting.
On the 4th.
On the 4th. I'm gonna say the right word.
Uh-huh.
And then
Next step is set the public
Yeah, set
hearing, which is
public
on the 18th. We set that the 18th. So then the next meeting would be, what'd you say, the second?
January 2nd.
Is that correct? Aren't we getting them out in the packet the Thursday before the 4th? And setting the public hearing on the 4th for
You have to receive and file first.
receive and file, and
Receive
then
and file, then the next
the
meeting.
next meeting on the 18th,
Right.
we'll set the public hearing.
There's a sequence of events.
Clerical knowledge there, that good old ticker in there works, John.
And then does there have to be a specific time between when, like that January 4th or December 4th? Before we can get like the bids and such?
Yes, so
Because
then,
the earlier the better, right? Like if we're looking at March to get the bids, then aren't things gonna start, from my understanding, just on past projects, things start filling up when it gets, to that
January's
point.
better than February, February's better than March.
this is a little
But if we
bit
approve in
different because this is just a
January,
concrete
We can
job.
let in February, right?
Okay.
job.
Yeah, asphalt, yeah, so it's a little bit different than like new construction, is that this is just an asphalt job versus like a whole big development or building we're letting and, putting out for bid. So I think we covered this in one of the last meetings, that they said it's,
And a smaller project means you can get more contractors that can afford the bondability of it, and you can get a greater pool of contractors that put in.
Again, just trying to get the best bang for our buck,
Absolutely.
and.
To your question, hope is that we can get everything done in January it takes about 30 days to get the bids, so we would probably let sometime early February, and they would have the process time to get the plans, specifications, prepare their bids, and then we'd actually have a bid opening sometime in February, right?
Yep, late January, early February.
So they would know in January that this is what I'm trying to work on, and they just know whether or not they won the bid then in February.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
thank you, Natalie.
Patrick Sullivan, I live at 708 South King Street, and I wanted to make a point on. I know a couple of the other people from K Street have kind of already said it, but with the last project that was brought up to us, it did bring it up against our house, but with the size of the project, it quite literally wrapped a ditch halfway up around our house. So I know you guys are saying that the impact is going to be minimal. I would like to see that our trees don't get taken away from us, which is pretty much our only privacy, and as of right now, our only protection because we're so close to the road from if a major accident were to happen. I know that one of the biggest points that was being made with the 5-foot shoulders is safety. However, I think a bigger problem with the road is that people are speeding at great amounts down our road. So even with those 5-foot shoulders, I don't think it's gonna help when it's paved. It's just gonna increase the speed at which people travel. So I think a way to mitigate the speed at which people are traveling down a road, and by all means, put a cop in my driveway.
Taking notes over there.
I mean, because we were outside the other day and somebody, they had to have been going over 80 miles an hour on a road, and if something were to happen, even our trees wouldn't stop it. So if our trees were to be taken away, we wouldn't feel very comfortable in our house with how people treat that road, because they're already treating it like a racetrack. So I just wanted to keep that in mind if you can, when you're thinking about the shoulders, and the width of it is the impact of our privacy, our safety, and maybe we can do something to mitigate speeding, because it's not every now and then thing, it's every night someone's blowing by our house. So you can just think of that and be really appreciated.
Thank you, Patrick. And I'll let you know, I think in the last week I've probably received
Oh, and
20 emails from people. Okay, it's not 20. It's probably 6 or 7 emails on speed alone, and just all over. I feel like kids are getting more reckless, and people are in a bigger hurry, and it's dangerous for people like you who live so close to the road. So.
Sure, and it's a mile road. To do 30 miles an hour takes you a minute. So if people could just slow it down and figure out a way to make that happen, that'd be cool. One other thing is I know that you guys were kind of trying to compact everything and because you guys are busy, you guys got a lot going on. I do care about how much we're being assessed. Seeing us go away from the Flint formula would be, I think, good. However, I would love to see that map because again, we're worried about our trees and how far they're gonna come in and grade our property, so.
Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but once we assess them once, this is considered pavement, correct? So once we need to come back in and redo that street again, they can never be assessed again on it, correct? The property owners, even if the homesteads change owners.
Right.
I want to make sure.
Well, it's your
You can't
policy.
say never, it's
Well,
just, we changed the policy.
Not in the
back
current policy
10
and,
years ago.
and
That
law.
we weren't gonna do that, yeah.
Okay. Thank
That's
you.
up to future, because we can't tie hands of future councils.
Exactly.
Set policy to make it more difficult for them to do that, so.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. And thank you all for coming this evening. We certainly respect and appreciate your engagement and we're listening. I have a spreadsheet on you guys too, so don't worry, I got spreadsheets on every neighborhood.
See, that's a little scary.
It is, it's a little bit like
Spreadsheets
that
you got on
farmer guy from
neighborhoods.
Michigan, right?
Got that
Manifesto,
big
but-
red X next to my name there, Mayor.
Oh, it's only a good one because I miss my bingo partner, so.
I just want to say, again, thank you, K Street folks, for the civility and the way that you approach the issues, and we appreciate that greatly. So thank you.
You do. Thank you. And so those will be coming in the mail, right? The assessments, they should be getting those before the 4th.
Either in the mail or we'll send them out email when we post the agenda. Yeah.
Otherwise, they will be online on Thursday, usually about noon, and everyone in town can see them.
And just keep
And our
in
phone
mind-
numbers are published then
Just
too.
keep in mind, it's just like the first time it went around, it's the max, and we'll be working with whatever kind of other considerations that we might have.
Keeping trees, getting easements and things like that. Yeah. Thank you. All right. If you guys don't want to stay, you don't have to. We won't force you to stay through our meeting. It gets a little hot in here. We will not be offended if you get up and walk out.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. And we will be available to answer all questions when those numbers come out, so. Steve Richardson, I hear his number's gonna be the best to call. I'm kidding. Number 2, Community Development Block Grant. I need a first and second motion to open the public hearing to take public comments and questions about the proposed submittal of a grant application for the Community Development Block Grant, which would be used for exterior renovations of downtown building facades.
So moved.
Second.
Right.
Mayor and Council, I'm gonna,
No.
sorry, yeah, you.
Thank you.
Wanna go.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Aye.
Grave,
Aye.
Beach. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Dalby.
Aye.
Richardson.
All right.
All right, I'll do this again. Mayor and Council, I'm going to introduce Caleb Knutson. Caleb's with the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance, and he is the grant administrator that the city is using for this process, and he's got a little stuff that he's got to go through just to stay in line with the grant application. So I'll give the floor to him, and then I'll come back up afterwards.
Mayor, Council, thank you. Bear with me, I have to read a script from IEDA. It's really fascinating. So the city of Indianola is requesting CDBG financial assistance to undertake downtown revitalization project impacting the facades of an estimated 8 buildings in downtown Indianola. The need for this project was determined through an analysis of physical condition, which included a slum blight assessment, finding the target area as meeting the federal definition of slum blight. The city council in 2021 passed an updated resolution for the urban renewal plan, including this target area. The nature of this project is renovation of an estimated 8 lighted exterior street-facing building facades within the targeted area of the district. Where possible and relevant, the Secretary of Interior standards for rehab of historic buildings will be utilized. The total project costs for the CDBG funded portion of the projects are estimated to be approximately $1,230,000. The city is requesting up to $650,000 in CDBG funds from Iowa Economic Development Authority, payable as a grant to the city for work to be performed. The matching funds will come from the city of Indianola, approximately $315,000. Private building owners impacted will pay approximately $265,000. We anticipate the application for CDBG funds will be submitted to IEDA on or before November 22nd, November 2023. It is estimated that approximately 51.9% of the requested federal funds will be used directly to benefit low and moderate income persons. All project activities will occur in the downtown area. It is anticipated that no households or businesses will be permanently displaced or relocated as a result of this project. In the event someone is displaced, the City of Indianola will provide any assistance required by law to those impacted. No requests were made for an interpreter or other accommodations for this meeting. For more information and assistance can be found by contacting myself, Caleb Knudsen, from MIPA at 515-644-2655, or emailing me at cknudsen@midiowaplanning.org. So that was the script I read. Now we open it up for any public comments.
Anyone who'd like to speak on this? Otherwise, it's a good time for us to ask questions too.
For sure.
Will you guys be, so you'll be receiving the grants and then you pick the award winners and how it works, or?
So how this process worked is we worked with Curtis Architecture and Design, and they went through the city and picked 8 buildings, and the building owners agreed to it. We've got their letters of commitment, and we've got their funding breakdown for their share, the city share, and everything like that. So we've already got the buildings picked out.
There's some great buildings on that list. Any other questions? All right, well, it's easy. Ron, I heard you take a breath.
Yeah, no, I'm just mulling it over my head. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Charlie, anything from you?
Well, before we get to the next items, if there's no, go ahead and close the public hearing, and then I'll jump in on the next 3 items after that.
I need a first and second motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Jackie?
I'm sorry, was that?
John?
Sorry.
Councilmember Dalby?
Aye.
Richardson?
Aye.
Schroeder?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Beach?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Caleb, you have everything signed you need, correct? You can leave whenever you want.
There's one more thing I've got to read and go through.
Oh, okay, well,
After
it all,
Yeah,
okay.
it's the housing assessment.
Yep, so, and I'll get into that. So there's 3 items that you'll have to do. It's first of all, approving the grant application, and I'll go through some things here in a slideshow really quick. The community development and housing needs assessment, and I'll have Caleb read that. And then the resolution approving the letter of funding commitment, and we'll go through that here as well too. I just wanted to show council, this is kind of the first time we're showing this to public. I think a few of us internally have seen it, but just some of the designs that we have. Caleb mentioned that we had gone through a whole process. We reached out to the entirety of the downtown, see where the interest was. We really had a lot of interest kind of in that Howard and Salem intersection area. Quite a few buildings in that area that were very interested. Through that process, we went through a few exercises with these building owners, with the architect. We got to a point last week where we had designs put together, revealed those to the property owners, got them to commit to sign on to this project. So I wanted to show the council quickly just some of those designs that we were seeing. You can kind of see what this project is actually going to do. So this first one is it's Patton and Strong's Law Office at 106 East Salem. On the left, you can see the existing building. On the right would be the concept that is being proposed through this project. Next one is Savor the Rise. Again, the the existing building on the left, the proposed on the right. This one is the building right in the corner there, the Page Turner's building. Again, you can see where the existing and the proposed go through this. Again, this is on the Howard side of it, looking at that building. And just down a little bit towards the end of that building, again on the Howard side. This is the building across the street from there, where I think there's a dog grooming business there. There's dual ownership on this one. There's one property owner who owns the top floor and then a portion of the bottom floor, and then another property owner who owns the corner. You can kind of see the existing on the top there. The one building owner owns everything that has the white vinyl siding alongside it, and then we have another building owner that owns the area that's in red there. But again, you can see the project that we have proposed, and both of these owners are on board, will kind of bring some consistency to that building. So this is looking at it from the Howard side.
This is on the top here, and then this is looking, if you look at the bottom left there, that's looking at it from the Salem side. And then lastly, the one, I think we looked at it, the one that we were most excited about is this one. So this is the Harrison's building. You can see the change there. So there's actually some cool things with this building that we looked at. We were able to get upstairs inside that. The current brick there, that's essentially a slip cover on top of that. Those windows that are in there, they're still there. They're still in place. The glass is actually still in the windows. So it's a really cool project to get this back to some historic nature that was. And currently that building does have some issues with the brick. So it happened to be just a very good time for that building owner to get involved in this and use this program. So we're pretty excited about that one, but
That's amazing.
that's
So,
kind of what we all saw too.
Can I
So
ask then, I know he got money to restore the Harrison sign, so then what happens there?
if that does not get used, that'll just be moved into this pot of funding. So the whatever
Has he
savings.
thought
we
about
have from that.
relocating that sign? I know that
We've
there's
talked
a
about
lot
it kind of,
people very
yeah, with the building owner, we
love that.
talked about it briefly and we have some ideas, but we'll have to look into that. So I think, I don't want to speak for the council from staff standpoint. This renovation is probably greater than that sign, but we still will
Absolutely.
find another location for that sign.
No,
That sign's not going to get
absolutely.
thrown away.
You know, second here, the history of that building was, that was the original Hyde grocery store. I mean, that's what they had there, which was Hy-Vee, Hyde and Friedenberg, and that was one of the original grocery store in the 1920s and 30s. And I'm glad to see we keep the Italianate design. That's really kind of cool.
Yes.
Is this grant just for the exterior, or does it include some interior?
Just exterior.
Just exterior, okay.
So the next item, and Caleb has some stuff that he needs to read on this, I just want to make sure, because I know there were some questions on this today. This community development and housing needs assessment, this does focus on both needs for LMI, which is low to moderate income, and non-LMI.
Charlie, can I stop you for a
yes,
second? Why
yes.
don't we do the motion first and then, because this is our second motion.
Yep, that's fine.
Item B, so
That's
we'll
fine.
do item A. I need a first and second motion on the resolution approving the grant application for Iowa Economic Development Authority Downtown Revitalization Fund, funded through a community development block grant, which would be used for exterior renovations of the downtown building facades.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? Jackie?
Councilmember Schroeder,
Aye. Sorry.
Aye.
Beach,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Richardson.
Aye.
All right, Charlie, I'll do the motion and then we'll, do the information. I need a first and second motion on a resolution approving a community development and housing needs development assessment. All right, now, I'll let you read it.
Essentially, and Caleb will go over this, but these are all based off our current implementation measures that are located in our comprehensive plan. This is a requirement for this grant application, and I just want council to be aware that we are doing an updated housing study right now, and we do expect that that's about a 6-month process that should be wrapping up here in the spring of next year. So I'll give the rest of it to Caleb.
Thanks, Charlie. So, as Charlie said, this is all required, and this was done with reading from your comprehensive plan, talking to Charlie and Emily and myself. So there are high needs, medium needs, and low needs. So section 1, community development housing needs for LMI residents. A high need was sanitary sewer improvements. Another high need was housing rehabilitation. A medium need was develop a trail network. Number 2, community development and housing needs of non-LMI residents. High need, rehabilitation of downtown buildings. High need, community facility improvement. And a medium need, encourage development of new housing. And this whole document is in your packet. Item 3, or section 3, planned or potential activities to address the needs identified in 1 and 2 above. So this is really where Charlie and Emily's help came in, because as outside staff, you don't really get the boots on the ground type of perspectives. So the sanitary sewer improvements. Now, there's a lot of different items here. Close out construction, contract on new water resource recovery facility, complete implementation feasibility study of the south plant, maintain its inflow and infiltration policy, maintain the collection systems maintenance program, and then complete a hydraulic analysis and feasibility study of all sanitary sewer systems in the city. The other one is housing housing rehabilitation, maintain and promote tax abatement for renovations and upgrades, consider a forgivable loan program for safety and repair exterior elements that could compromise health and safety well-being of occupants, such as roofs, windows, and doors, partner with nonprofit agencies to provide residential cleanup, maintenance, and repair services, develop an official neighborhood association program in which residents can organize and be recognized by the city as a representative for their neighborhood. And the last bullet point, actually, it's not the last bullet point. A developed trail network, enable all ages and abilities to move about the city without their vehicle. Develop trail system that separates bicycles and pedestrians from the roadway, connect existing and future park system with recreational trails. Rehabilitation of downtown buildings, offer programs for building maintenance, restoration, preservation, and revitalization. Work with building owners to encourage rehabilitation and updating buildings. Look for ways to help owners who are willing to make improvements, and part of that is applying for the CDBG, reinstate the former facade grant program, consider applying for CDBG funds from IDA. Community facility improvements, identify potential funding for improvements to the city's facilities, continue to plan for new buildings for the city hall, police station, and fire station, develop a plan for new and expanding local library facilities and operations, develop a building maintenance and improvement plan for the wellness campus. Finally, so this is the last one, encourage development of new housing, identify potential developers to work with on developing new housing subdivisions with the community, increase the availability of housing targeted towards households earning more than the city's median income, maintaining and promote tax abatement for new housing, expand the variety of housing types, create mixed-use zoning districts, evaluate the potential of tiny home and various cooperative housing models, promote mixed dense housing developments, for example, combination of single-family detached, multifamily design, components to each other.
Sounds like everything we're doing already.
Yeah, and like Charlie and I said, this is all taken from your comprehensive plan, and staff were fantastic in helping write this up.
Right? Anything else from you?
Nope, I just gotta count people here.
All right. Well, any other questions?
I did have questions on, which you did answer some in the emails, but I just wanted to make it part of public comment or public meeting. Where it talks about increasing the availability of housing targeted towards households earning more than the city's median income. And my question would be is, why are we only focusing on that when we have substantial lack of housing for under the median income?
Yep, and again, it was taken from our comprehensive plan on the implementation strategies that we have right now. When we looked at it in our comprehensive plan, yeah, we're definitely lacking on that lower side, but we're also lacking on the higher side too. So that was just bringing that implementation strategy out through there, so. And again, we're doing a housing study right now, so we're gonna get some much more finite details and where we're lacking and where we're in excess at, and some more implementation and strategies that'll come out of that. So again, I think if council's willing to stay patient, we'll have more of that here in a couple months.
I think it kind of addresses that. And when I asked that question, well, I've forgotten the number one, second paragraph there talks about percentage of low to moderate income residents and the need to encourage those developments and so. And I
just wanted to clarify it on that section because that was where it snagged my attention. Yeah. So if it got my attention, it's gonna grab somebody else's too, so.
All right, any other discussion? Thank you both, and thank
Thank
you,
you.
Caleb, for being here this evening.
Great program, looks wonderful.
Yeah. Jackie?
Councilmember Dalby?
Aye.
Richardson?
Aye.
Schroeder?
Sorry, hard to get unmuted. Aye.
Rabe?
Aye.
Peach?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
It really is going hard because when you're on the other line, you know what's coming up, but then you just forget how to unmute it.
So there's a delay.
The red
yeah, the
mute
delay.
button's tough on the iPhone.
It is, Ron.
Yeah, it won't pop up for me, so I'm hitting my phone.
All right, moving on to item C, I need a first and second motion on a resolution approving a letter of funding commitment for the Community Development Block Grant, which would be used for exterior renovations of downtown building facades.
Second?
Any more discussion? Jackie?
Councilmember Schroeder,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Beach. Aye. Parker,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Richardson.
Great, thank you, Caleb, for being us. You don't have to stay any longer unless you really want to. We'd love to have visitors stay.
Maybe next time.
All right, thank you. Moving on to new business, I need a first and second motion on the first ordinance, consideration of an ordinance amending recycling rates.
So moved. Second.
And discussion. So this is a pass-through fee of, I believe, I just went off. So anybody who has it up and can tell me the number quicker. I think it's
5.3%, was that?
Yeah, 5.3% based on the consumer price index for the last 12 months.
Okay, and that is what, 37 cents?
27.
27 cents, all right. Way off. 27-cent increase that we'd be passing through, so the city's not adding anything on that.
No, I just, all I'm gonna do is just make my comment, because this has been going on for, I will tell you, when I first came on council, it was under like $2.25. So this is, in my opinion, there's something going on here, and this is a way bigger than just the city of Indianola, but this is just continued to go up and up and up, and it's, I know it's not a huge thing, but I remember we had more people come in and complain about a 25% increase back when I was first on council, and then we had for some of the other things that we were raising, and it was on the recycling rates. And so, but this, I mean, it's more than doubled since I've been on council. And I understand it's just a pass through. And we've had Amon come in from Waste Management, and there's just got to be something different. And I don't know how we do it or what we do it, but you know, it just continues to go for stuff that, you know, and again, I'm on the dump or the landfill board, and you know, we're trying to do what we can to reduce the amount that goes in there too, but you know, it's just
Well, and I will say like that I get more complaints about our recycling than just about anything else, really. And it's because it's not getting picked up. People don't actually have the bins. They're never provided them.
Bins falling in.
They'll sit there for weeks without getting touched and picked up or dumped, and it's a lot of, you know, like our commercial apartments and, you know, stuff like that, commercial properties and stuff like that.
I think this is, I'm sorry, Christina, I didn't mean over.
No, go ahead.
Isn't this contract up next year, 2025?
good luck. I mean, we
Yeah,
have
well, no, I know,
we
I-
have one bidder.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's nobody else doing it.
I
That's the
think that's
problem.
it, and our local guys, our local favorite trash, waste management, that is, they're our favorite because they're local here, right? Everybody's our favorite, but I think that's the thing, they don't have any interest in doing recycling.
No.
It's an expensive,
It doesn't pay anything, I get it.
yeah, it's expensive and it's not a lot of.
I would just interject, I did maybe a couple years ago directly with the regional manager who used to be my neighbor, and I'm not sure, I've lost touch with him, I don't know what his position is now. He was very good about drilling down and figuring out what wasn't being picked up and why, and working with the route drivers and figuring it out. So, you know, I don't know if we've tried that, but he did a very good job.
Their customer service is great. Anytime I've had to call, unfortunately, sometimes the bins fall in,
We
unfortunately.
get a lot of people that called that have been trying to call Waste Management, and Waste Management can't find their account because it's through us. So if you do get those calls, if you can just direct them to either the IMU Billing Center or to Cassandra or I, we can help them. And Ammon's fantastic at getting, like she said, to help everybody.
Yeah, they've got cameras on the back, so they can tell they can put your address in and they can tell exactly if it accidentally fell in. Unfortunately, the drivers don't know a lot of times. But we also have some people, which yes, Christina, I know the concern of some things aren't getting picked up, but we've got some properties that need to remember, they're not gonna pick it up if they put trash in it. And that was what was happening at a specific one, I know that wasn't getting picked up, because it was filled with trash
last
bags.
year?
Yeah, it was filled with
Yeah.
trash bags, and it wasn't trash, or it wasn't recycling, so, but yeah, all right. Any other discussion? Jackie?
Councilmember Richardson? Schroeder?
Aye.
Wade?
Aye.
Beach? Aye. Parker?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
That was the saddest eye ever.
That's kind of like that I did on that change order.
That's my way of protest right there.
It's okay, you could have done no on that one, we would have been all about it. Moving on, I need a first and second motion on the resolution approving a platted survey for Chad Daniels for the property addressed as 12516 110th Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, sorry,
It's all you this time,
I'm waiting for you to
Trey.
open the public hearing, it's not a public hearing. So this is, address is 12516 110th Avenue. This is actually South Y Street. When it gets into the county, it turns into 110th Avenue, so this property is located outside of the city. This plat of survey is essentially just adjusting the boundary lines between the two properties. You can see the survey here, it's a 3.61 acre parcel, and it does contain a current single-family dwelling. You can see on here on the screen above, it is in a low priority growth area, and again, just outside of the city boundaries, right there. And then the area that's located on the aerial photo shows the single family dwelling that it is, redrawing the lot lines for. So with that, the Indianola Planning and Zoning Commission did review this at their last meeting and are recommending that the city council approve the request as submitted.
Yep. This is probably not an applicable question to this project, but did that plat where 10th Street comes up there, there was a, front of the council one time, a plat, it never got fully platted though, there was a plan that we looked at, is that correct? See where 10th Street comes in there, South Y, that area there, the two adjacent properties on the other side of South Y.
That was the one, you're talking the Deer Ridge that took access off K?
Yes.
Yes, no, so that has the preliminary plan, and that's never gone through the process. We've only reviewed at the staff side, yep.
I'm just curious based on what.
Yeah, single family dwellings kind of, developments have just kind of taken a giant pause over the last couple of years, so I'm assuming they're just
Okay.
kind of holding back
No
waiting
problem.
right now.
Questions for Charlie? Jackie?
Councilmember Beach?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Richardson?
Aye.
Schroeder?
Aye.
Ray?
All right. Moving on, I need a first and second motion on a resolution approving a major site plan application for general industrial use at 1601 East Orchard Place.
So moved.
Second.
Charlie?
You mentioned this is for general industrial use. This is for the Sternquist Building relocation off of 14th into the new industrial park, which the council did approve on their consent agenda tonight. It's 1601 East Orchard Place, which is the cul-de-sac of the new industrial park. Showing here is the site plan. You can see on the top, when you look at that site plan there, on the top right-hand corner is the cul-de-sac, and they're coming just off there and utilizing the bottom of that lot one that's coming in there. A lot of building there. The darker gray area around the building, that's all gonna be paved surface. The rest of it that is gray there, that is going to be a gravel surface. The council does have discretion in M2 zoned areas to approve gravel surfaces. Our code does typically allow for just paved surfaces, but again, on a industrial lot, if it is all in the rear and used as a storage area, the council does have discretion to approve gravel in those areas.
Wouldn't it behoove us just because of stormwater alone?
What's that?
I said, wouldn't it behoove us to do?
Yeah, and
just
again, yeah, stormwater
alone?
cost, all of that stuff too, so, yep. But it does show that's coming off, the East Orchard Place there, and the gravel outdoor storage area is shown, on the site plan. This shows a picture here. I know there was a question today about the lots. Those lots that they're shown on Beacon there on the right-hand side, don't pay attention to that, because when the subdivision plat gets recorded, that's all going to change, so hopefully that'll change here within the next week or so. So with that, the Indianola Planning and Zoning Commission does recommend to the council to approve with conditions. The condition is that prior to receiving a final CO for the property, the applicant will either need a variance granted from the Board of Adjustment to vary from opaque screening requirements for the outdoor storage area, or a text amendment to the code. I'll explain that really quick with our new code that's been in place now for 2 years, so not really new. There is a requirement for outdoor storage areas and industrial areas that they are opaquely screened. With the size of this screening area right here, and again, it's roughly 10-acre gravel lot that they're looking at using on this facility. Obviously, doing a opaque screened lot would be an insurmountable cost. And with that, I think staff has agreed with the applicant on this one that we are going to look at that section of code and possibly make exceptions for it, especially when it's surrounded by all other industrial zoned grounds. So that's where that's coming from, is either there's going to have to be a variance from the Board of Adjustment, or we'll go through that text amendment process, figure out if there is a better code that we can utilize to this and apply to the zoning code, so.
Is Turnquist keeping their facility on 14th?
No, they'll move out of that. I don't know what's going there, but yeah, they will move out of that location. I don't know if you know anything.
No plans at this time. I didn't know that, because you know they have the rock crushing, concrete crushing, all
Yep.
right there, that's all moving.
That's
over.
all going to that giant gravel parking lot that they have back there, yeah.
Okay. What's the current size of their lot?
Oh, it's 3 acres maybe total,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, big upgrade for them.
Thank you. Jackie?
Councilmember Dalby?
Aye.
Richardson?
Aye.
Schroeder?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Beach?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
All right, and moving on to item 9, other business, city managers report with Ben Reeves.
Don't have a whole lot to report tonight, but I just wanted to make sure the council is aware that we will be advertising for construction manager at risk coming up. We are working on the language for the architectural firm. We'll be working with our attorney on that and preparing it for the December 4th agenda for your consideration there. Got some great assistance from Bondurant and the process that they've followed moving forward with the construction manager at risk. And so city staff has been meeting on a weekly basis to start putting our input together that will be used by both parties.
So do you know who Bondurant hired?
Brian, I believe
Okay.
Brian.
Brian
and,
Construction? Yep.
And OPM.
Okay.
All right. Seeing nothing else, item B, I need a motion and a second to enter into closed session in accordance with Iowa Code Section 21.51J to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price that the governmental body would have to pay for that property, or reduce the price the governmental body would receive for that property.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, thank you. Unfortunately, those watching, I have to read it. I wish I could defer, but Jackie?
Councilmember Schroeder?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Beach?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Richardson?
Aye.
All right, we'll take about a quick 2-minute break if you have to use the restroom.
I saw that.
Does anybody have any Tylenol?
That could be scandalous right
Oh,
there.
can I have one or two or 3 or 4?
Oh, I was gonna say, I thought you were like